Welcome back to Manhwa. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Alright, let's get into the dramatic revenge story of our man, Jack. Right after the college entrance exams, I intentionally aced all the extra credit questions. It was all to make sure I'd be placed in a university far away from the school's queen bee, Ella. As we walked out of the exam hall, Ella's boss cornered me with their usual sneer. Jack, Ella said she didn't do too well this afternoon. You'd better turn in a blank paper, or you can forget about ever kneeling at her feet again. They all burst out laughing. I glanced at Ella, her face a mask of pure disgust. I just nodded and said, got it. But inside, I was thinking, whoever wants to be her lapdog can have at it. Eve had enough. I turned on my heel and, right then and there, called my family's butler. I told him to cut off all financial support to her family and kick them to the curb. Ella blew up my phone with 99 missed calls, but I didn't answer once. Panicking now, are we? Where did all the arrogance go? In my previous life, I was the sole heir to the richest man in the country. Yet, I spent my days groveling for the daughter of my family's chauffeur. To marry her, I signed over the entire company my father left me. She burned through my money without a second thought, all while falling into the arms of another man. She pampered her boyfriend, Ruyan, like a prized pet, while I was ordered around like a servant. On her wedding day, I called to borrow some money for medical treatment. Her voice was ice cold. The years you spent clinging to me were a nightmare. Dak, please, do us all a favor, and just reincarnate already. As I lay dying in a hospital bed, I finally recognized the woman holding me. It was Sophia, the brilliant fiancée I had so cruelly rejected. It turned out she had been waiting for me all along. When I'd opened my eyes again, I was back in my senior year of high school. That year, I was always asleep at my desk. Ella shook me awake, snapping, wake up, Ruyan has a stomachache. Go buy him some medicine. And while you're at it, get him lunch from the cafeteria. Make sure it's got plenty of meat. He's too thin, he needs to eat more. Ruyan was slumped over at his desk, surrounded by a crowd of people fussing over him like he was a prince. The entire world seemed to revolve around his stomach, and of course, the most concerned of all was Ella. As for me, I was just her brainless, loyal dog, dozing off in class every day, only to spend every break running errands for her, buying food, drinks, doing whatever she commanded. But now, reborn and knowing the truth, I could only laugh at the sight of her. Who the hell did she think she was, treating me like trash? Seeing me just standing there, Ella Bart, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up. She then walked over to Ruyan, gently patting his back. Ruyan glanced at me before telling Ella, it's probably not a good idea to make Jack go. I can go myself. What's not a good idea? He loves doing this stuff. If I didn't ask, he'd probably throw a fit, right, Jack? She looked straight at me. Miss Mer said nothing, and headed straight for the cafeteria. This time, I got in line and bought 2 full meals. A student nearby snickered. Buying lunch for the queen again. She's into Ruyan, you know. Someone on her level, not some nobody like you. I shot back coldly. What do you mean, nobody? They laughed condescendingly. You're just a servant's son. You think riding in the same car as her to school every day means you can actually marry her. Wake up. A useless fool like you will spend your entire life as a servant to her family, doing their laundry, sweeping their floors, changing her kids' diapers. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Ella told you I'm a servant's son. I used to have a crush on her. That was the only reason I let her ride in my private car to school every day. But somehow, in everyone's eyes, Ella had become the rich young miss, and I was the son of her family's help. Seeing my dumbfounded question, the guy rolled his eyes. Whatever. Just get her the food before it gets cold. He laughed again, and the people around him joined in, mocking the loyal dog, the fool with impossible dreams. The bell rang. I left the cafeteria, but didn't go back to class. I sat down by a flower and ate both meals myself. I couldn't even remember the last time I'd had a proper meal. With no money, good food was a luxury. I used to wait for the markets to close, just to pick up leftover vegetables people had thrown away. Meat. That was just a dream. Eating both plates barely put a dent in my ravenous hunger. When I got back to class, the bell had already rung for the next period. Ella looked up, annoyed. What took you so long? Where's the medicine? What medicine? I stared at her, my eyes now devoid of the warmth they once held. Ella was stunned. The stomach medicine for Ruyan. I told you he had a stomachache. Are you deaf? You can't even handle one simple thing. I glanced at Ruyan, whose face was indeed a bit pale. What the hell does Rand have to do with me? Why should I buy medicine for him? Rand's family wasn't well off, but ever since he got close to Ella, she had showered him with special attention. Every time my father gave me something expensive, Ella would hand it straight to Rand. Even the watch Rand was wearing right now was bought with my credit card. They used my money and enjoyed everything I provided, yet they treated me like their personal servant. Ella snapped. Jack, are you trying to start a fight? Keep this up, and don't blame me for ignoring you. You'll just come crawling back, begging for my forgiveness. I looked at her, almost finding it funny. What do I need your forgiveness for? What did I do wrong? Seeing me talk back to Ella, everyone turned to look. Since when did he grow a spine? Ella was speechless. She looked at me, recalling the countless times I'd groveled at her feet. She warned, fine. Then don't even think about catching a ride home in my car this afternoon. And nutted. Fine by me. I walked to my seat and sat down as if her words meant nothing. It was just a simple, effortless agreement. The girl sitting next to Rayan chimed in. Hey Jack, what's wrong with you? You can't even buy some medicine. Can't you see Ryan's in pain? I shot her a cold look. Then you go buy it. Bree retorted, full of righteous indignation. That's your job. Why should I go? I have no connection to Ryan whatsoever. Why is it my job? Bree pointed a finger at me. You're a servant in Ella's house. It's what you're supposed to do. That set me off. I turned to Ella. You've been telling everyone I'm your family's servant. Ella flinched under my direct gaze. Of course, she'd never said it outright. People just assumed it when they saw her arriving in a luxury car every day. She simply never bothered to correct them. Now, somehow, I was the one making a scene. Ella walked over and sat down next to me. Alright, forget the medicine. I'll go buy it myself. She assumed I was just being jealous, that refusing to do anything for Ryan was my petty way of showing I wanted her. She glanced at me. So where's the food? No, medicine is one thing, but you at least bought lunch, right? Someone had already told her they saw me with 2 trays of food. I answered calmly, I ate it. What? You ate both servings? She looked personally offended. I nodded. The students in the row ahead turned around, their faces filled with disgust. Are you a pig? You ate both trays. They were used to sucking up to Ella and looking down on me. I used to tolerate them, hoping they'd put in a good word for me with her. Now I realized how foolish I'd been. Every time Ella treated them to something, it was on my dime. I said it calmly, I used my own money. Whether it's 2 trays or 20, it's none of your business. The students fell silent, their expressions darkening. One of them muttered, his money. Doesn't Ella's family pay for everything? But Ella was already fuming, especially since I hadn't brought her lunch. She hadn't eaten anything. Her anger exploded. Jack, you brought this on yourself, she seethed. Let's see how long you can keep this act up. She stood up, gathered her things, and told Bray, switch seats with me. You sit next to him. This was her go-to punishment, whenever she was upset refusing to sit by my side. After all, I had begged for that seat. She was supposed to be my tutor, to help me with my studies. But thinking back, she'd never taught me a single thing. All she did was boss me around. She seemed to think switching seats would devastate me. It didn't. I completely ignored her. Ella hadn't eaten. Ryan's stomach still hurt. She sat nearby, glaring at me from the corner of her eye. This time, Ella was truly furious. She was already planning what she'd do when I came crawling back to apologize. After school, the Maybach was waiting at the gate. I walked straight to it without a second glance. By now, the whole school knew I had offended Ella. Everyone was waiting to see my downfall. As I got into the car without hesitation, the whispers started. Didn't he refuse to buy her lunch? Now he has the nerve to hitch a ride. A servant's son acting like a young master. Ella's not even here yet, and he's already making himself at home. Ella is way too patient. If it were me, I would have fired that ungrateful brat ages ago. I heard every word, but I couldn't care less. I settled into the seat and told the driver, let's go. The driver, Steph, glanced at me. But young Miss Ella isn't here yet. Let's wait a bit. Ella was sometimes late because of student council duties. I always waited. He expected the same today. Instead, I told him to drive on. The driver didn't follow my order. He was clearly on Ella's side. I almost laughed. Steph, my father has only one child, me. Since when did our family have a young miss? Did you two have a fight? Steve asked, concerned. Don't worry, I'll put in a good word for you. No meat. Just drive. I don't want to ride with her, and I don't want to see her again. Steve hesitated, then moving. He knew better than anyone how I used to bend over backward for his daughter. I never dared to defy her. He figured that even if he ignored me, the worst I could do was get an earful from Ella. He was already dreaming of a future where I inherited the family fortune, and his daughter got it all. He'd long since stopped seeing himself as just a driver. He was already playing the part of my father-in-law. Are you going to drive or not? I scowled. My father had actually wanted to fire him a long time ago. There were rumors Steve had a gambling problem. Dad wasn't comfortable keeping someone like that around. But I had been out of my mind back then. I defended him every time, keeping him on because as long as he stayed, Ella stayed. I praised him, telling everyone how well he treated me. That was the only reason he still had this job. And now, he wouldn't even listen to his actual employer. Just then, they arrived. The moment Steve saw Ella at the gate, he jumped out of the car. Ella was with Ryan, her arm supporting him. Steve opened the car door, and Ella started to help Ryan inside. Purely because of my feelings for Ella, I had let Ryan ride with us every single day. The driver would drop Ryan off first before taking us home. And in the mornings, I had to wake up early just to pick Ryan up first. Before Ryan could get in, I spoke up. Didn't someone say they wouldn't be riding with me today? Funny seeing you at my car, Ted. The crowd of onlookers couldn't believe it. What's wrong with Jack? That's Ella's car, isn't it? He's not letting her in. They started buzzing with speculation. Ella stared at me, her expression frozen. She had no idea what had gotten into me. I was giving her no way out. Do you have to be like this? I already decided to forgive you for the lunch thing. Jack, if you keep this up, I don't need your forgiveness. Go home on your own. And stop riding in my car. Ella's face went from pale to beet red. She knew that in everyone's eyes, she was a rich girl. If she didn't get into this car, her entire image would crumble. So, she reached in and tried to pull me out, then helped Ryan get in instead. Ella, don't push it. I had to admit, she was really getting on my nerves. I'd forgotten so much from my past life, but seeing her face now, I genuinely couldn't understand how I'd ever put up with her or thought she was charming. Ella completely ignored me, uninterested in arguing. She turned to her father. Drive. Steve started the car and drove off, leaving me standing on the sidewalk. The crowd couldn't hold it in any longer. They erupted in laughter. Serves him right. That's what you get for being so unreasonable. I pulled out my phone. This phone was a cheap Nokia that Ella had picked out, worth a few hundred at most. To impress her, I'd given her the brand new iPhone my father bought for my birthday and taken this piece of junk in return. Back then, I thought it was a way to protect her pride. Looking at this so-called phone now, I'd almost laughed. I called my father. A few minutes later, the Maybach returned, pulling up to the gate. Steve got out, looking uneasy. Young master, he said, clearly having just been chewed out. Get them out. I'm not riding with them. Steve turned to the car. Ella helped Ryan out. Both looked shocked. Ryan seemed confused. Chaff, if you have a problem with me, fine, but you don't need to take it out on Ella. She's always been good to you. Ella held up a hand to stop him. Don't bother. Once they were both out, I got in. Before the car pulled away, I rolled down the window, smiled, and gave Ella a little wave. Goodbye. Steve met my eyes in the rear-view mirror, obviously not expecting me to go this far. Young master, he began cautiously, fights happen. Don't take it to heart. I'll have Ella come apologize. Without the car, she'll probably have to take the bus. Who knows what time she'll get home. Other people can take the bus. Why can't your daughter? Steve, have you forgotten who signs your paychecks? If you have a problem with me, you can quit lecturing me. It was all because he thought his daughter had a shot at my family's fortune. He'd stopped treating me like his boss long ago. If I hadn't called my dad, he would have left me standing there without a second thought. Steve shut his mouth immediately. When I got home, Auntie Tran met me at the door. Young master, you're back alone. Where is Miss Ella? There is no Miss Ella in this house anymore, I said. Auntie Tran blinked. As the young master finally come to his senses. I had treated Ella so well for so long that both she and her father had completely forgotten their place. Auntie Tran had wanted to say something many times but never dared, knowing it would upset me. Now, hearing this from me, she was visibly moved. She looked at me, her eyes kind. She had always been the nicest to me among all the household staff. But because she used to handle things related to Ella, I had unfairly resented her. After Ella took over the family in my past life, Auntie Tran was the first person she fired. Thinking back on it all, looking at her now, my eyes stunned. I'm heading upstairs, I told her. Of course. Oh, and Miss Sophia is here. Should I ask her to leave? Sophia used to visit often, but because my father had arranged for us to be together, and I was obsessed with Ella, I loathed Sophia's very existence. Every time she came, I refused to see her and just had someone send her away. In the end, we barely had any contact. But when I was dying, it was her people who took me to the hospital. She had never forgotten that she was my fiancée. I stopped anti-train. I'll see her. Where is she? In the backyard, playing with Snowball. I went to the backyard and saw Sophia feeding Snowball. I had once desperately wanted that dog, but Ella said she didn't like dogs, so I never went near it again. Yet here was Sophia, perfectly at ease with him. She was wearing her blue school uniform, the most ordinary thing in the world, yet somehow, she made it look stunning. Thinking about what I'd heard about her before I died, a woman who had it all, who spent those years alone, my eyes turned red. Sophia finished petting Snowball and looked up. I was standing in the doorway. She hadn't heard me approach. She started to walk towards me, then suddenly remembered how much I had always disliked her, and stopped. Young Master Jack. Sophia was beautiful, but she seemed more mature than her age. She was the same age as me but carried herself like someone in their mid-20s. Academically, she consistently ranked first in the entire province. She was the one person Ella couldn't stand. Ella always claimed Sophia's success was just a product of privilege, that her family gave her every resource and advantage. If I had what she has, I'd be just as good. Every time Sophia's scores were posted, Ella couldn't hide her frustration, and I had let that feeling poison my own view. He started treating Sophia like an enemy. But thinking about it honestly, we had barely even spoken. She had never done anything to me. This time, I kept my emotions in check and asked softly, "Did you need something?" "Just came to see how you were," Sophia said. When I didn't reply, she politely read the room. "I know you don't want me here. I'll be going." She hadn't even expected to see me. She had really just come for Snowball. The fact that it came out was more than she could have hoped for. She was about to leave. I spoke before I could stop myself. "Do you want to stay for dinner?" Sophia froze. She looked at me with genuine surprise. "Is that okay?" The evening sun cast a soft glow on everything. "Of course, it is." Ella still wasn't back. She was taking Rayan home. In the past, I would have held dinner for her without a second thought. Seeing me ready to eat so early, Auntie Tran was surprised. "Aren't we waiting for Miss Ella?" "What for?" The staff was so used to seeing me revolve around Ella that now that I'd stopped, they didn't know what to do. Auntie Tran didn't ask any more questions. "Yes, I'll have everything ready right away. Oh, and please inform Stev that he doesn't need to come to work tomorrow, or ever again." Auntie Tran paused, then caught herself. It wasn't her place to ask. Understood. With Ella's father officially fired, I finally sat down in the dining room. Sophia kept stealing glances at me. The moment I sat down, she quickly looked away. I hadn't expected her to be so flustered. It made me want to tease her a little. "Why aren't you looking at me? Am I that hard to look at? My grades might be terrible, but I'm not that bad looking. If Ella hadn't dragged me down, I never would have ended up like that." Sophia turned to look at me, her expression perfectly composed. "It's not that. But if you looked closely, the tips of her ears were bright red." I smiled. "By the way, I hear your grades are incredible." She wasn't used to me being so warm. "They're all right," she said. "Do you know any good tutors? I could really use a recommendation." Relying on Ella was clearly no longer an option. This time, I wasn't going to live an easy life, assuming my father would protect me forever. I'd barely touched a book in my past life while I still had the chance. I was going to fix that. Sophia was well connected. A tutor she recommended would probably be worth their salt. A tutor. What about Ella? She'd heard my tutor was a classmate, which was why Ella had been living at my house all this time. She's been fired. Because Ella had never respected me. She had zero patience for teaching me, and every penny I paid her was a complete waste. Sophia looked surprised. I was clearly serious. This wasn't a joke. She lifted her glass and took a sip, composing herself. "I don't have a tutor. I've always studied on my own. If you don't mind, I could come over every day and teach you myself." She didn't actually expect me to agree. Given how I'd never even glanced her way before, being invited to dinner was already beyond her wildest hopes. So, when my face lit up, she was completely unprepared. "Really?" Sophia nodded, almost baffled by my reaction. "Whenever you're ready." "Absolutely," I said, genuinely thrilled. "Of course. I just don't want to take up your study time." "It's fine," Sophia said. Her face calm, but her eyes held a soft warmth that was impossible to miss. It won't affect me at all. She'd already completed the entire high school curriculum and had a guaranteed university spot, but she didn't say any of that, afraid it might discourage me. Then, I said, my grades are a disaster. Just please don't give up on me. Ella had good grades too, but zero patience. If I didn't get a problem on the first explanation, she'd just scold me. My grades were actually average before her. Under her tutelage, they only got worse, and my confidence went with them. I won't, Sophia said. I'll come over after school, then. The two of us sat there, eating dinner. Sophia was a woman of few words. I picked up my chopsticks and put some food on her plate. Make yourself at home. No need to be so formal. And right at that moment, Ella walked in. She had just finished dropping Ryan off. She'd gotten the news about her father, and he'd given her an earful. She walked in to find me eating without her, every dish already touched. Her face instantly went cold. I glanced at her and kept eating. Ella had come to confront me about her father, but then she saw Sophia sitting there. Why is she here? She said, clearly annoyed. I used to keep my distance from every other girl just to please Ella. Every time Sophia came over, I'd send her away without even looking at her. And now, here she was, at my dining table. She's my guest, I said. You have a problem with that? Ella slowly sat down, studying me. You invited her here just to piss me off, didn't you? She had always hated Sophia, a rival in every sense. As long as Sophia's name was at the top, first place was out of reach. Sophia sat quietly, saying nothing. I looked at Ella. You're overthinking it, blood. You're not that important. There was a time I thought she was my whole world. Everything I had was hers for the taking. But given a second chance, all I felt when I looked at her was disgust. Loving someone like this had only ever dragged me through the mud. If you think seeing me with another girl will get to you, Jack, you've really misunderstood our positions. I actually wish you'd get close to someone else. At least then you'd stop bothering me. With that, she stood up and walked straight to her room. I was speechless. After Ella left, I noticed a shift in Sophia's expression. Something complex flickered across his. Don't listen to her, I said quickly. I wasn't entirely sure she would misunderstand, but Sophia said nothing. She had grown quiet, her warmth replaced by a noticeable chill. After dinner, I walked her to the door. Get home safe. And she left without another word, as quiet as ever. I went back inside. Ella was coming down the stairs. She'd changed out of her uniform jacket, and was just wearing a short-sleeved blouse. As terrible as she'd been, she was undeniably beautiful, looking soft, almost gentle. That was how she'd fooled me before. Now, Ella turned to me and said, Why did you fire my father? She hadn't brought it up in front of Sophia. She couldn't let anyone know she was just the driver's daughter. Making a scene in front of Sophia would have been mortifying. Do I need to explain myself to you for firing the driver? He's my father, Ella said. Everything that happened today was my decision. He had nothing to do with it. If you want to punish someone, punish me. Fire me. The word fire gave me a new lease on life. I looked her straight in the eye. My pleasure. What did you just say? Ella stared at me. You always thought I was stupid, didn't you? Fine. This is it. Pack your things and move out. I'll find another tutor. Ever since you started teaching me, my grades have only gotten worse. Honestly, you're not worth the money I paid. Ella thought I was joking. She couldn't believe I would actually do it. Your grades are bad because you can't keep up. I explained the same problem to Ryan once, and he gets it. Ugh. You're hopeless. It was my mistake for even trying. It'll be the same no matter what teacher you switch to. No one can teach you. The problem is you. She was still blaming me. Get out of my house, Jack. Ella's brows furrowed. You're still a student. Focus on your studies. All you think about is chasing me. No wonder your grades are terrible. What the hell are you talking about? Ella let out a cold laugh. These childish games of yours, you're just jealous that Ryan and I are close. You feel bad just because I don't want a romantic relationship with you. I just want to focus on my studies and get into a good university. Unlike you, even if you don't study a day in your life, your family's money will take care of everything. So, don't expect anything from me. I watched her for a moment, genuinely stunned. Then, a click hit. Who said anything about being together? Ayla, where does this confidence come from? Do you really think I want to be with you? Without me, you're nothing. Ella just thought I was being stubborn. Think what you want, but I'm warning you. If you invite Sophia to dinner again, don't expect me to pay you any attention. She turned and marched into her room, slamming the door. Quite the temper. As if this was her house. I went to my room and called for anti-tran. Tomorrow, clear Ella's things out of her room. There's no place in this house for someone who wants to walk all over me. I got Sophia's number from anti-tran and saved it. Then I sent her a message. Did you get home safe? No reply. The next morning, I woke up on my own time. No more waking up early to pick up Ruyan. I could finally sleep until I was ready. I assumed Ella would be gone. Instead, she was sitting at the dining table, waiting for me. I found a seat and started my breakfast. Every day, rushing out to get Ruyan, I had barely eaten a proper breakfast at home in months. Now I looked up at Ella sitting there, waiting, with that stubborn look on her face. Even now, she thought she could play games with me. I finished my breakfast and headed out. Ella followed right behind me. The new driver was there and opened the door for me. I got in. Ella followed. I looked at her. But, weren't you the one who said you wouldn't ride with me? I remember every word from yesterday. Ella's lips were pressed into a thin line. She said nothing. If her father hadn't forced her to make things right, she never would have done this. Just because he has a little money, he thinks he can order people around. Who does he think he is? But her father still needed a job. I didn't waste any more time on her. I just told the driver to take us to school. I got out. Ella followed. We used to arrive with Ran. Today, he'd taken the bus. Seeing Ella, he ran over. His eyes landed on me. The scene from yesterday had clearly confused him. A servant's son, acting like that with Ella. Seeing us arrive together, he asked, "You two made up?" I didn't bother with either of them, and walked straight inside. Ella watched me go, frowning as I didn't even pause for her. There's nothing to fight with him about, she told Ran. Ran shook his head. Still, to let a servant's son treat you like that. You're too patient. People are talking, but they're saying Jack is the real young master. Just ignore them, Ella said. My father and Jack have a good relationship. He asked me to look out for Jack. I can't just abandon him. That seemed to make sense. If it was for her father, Rian relaxed a little. I entered the classroom. Bree was there, blocking my seat. Move, I said. Bree looked up at me. You've got some nerve. You left Ella and Ryan at the gate yesterday and told the driver to leave. I looked at her and chuckled. My car, my rules. And who are you, again? My confidence took everyone by surprise. You're saying that Maybach is yours. What else would it be? I said flatly. Bree let out a short laugh. Please, we all know who you are, Jack. You think you can play the young master here? Really? The rumor is that driver is your father. Your whole family works for the Jungs. It's just that Ella's too kind to make a scene. Otherwise, she would have kicked you out ages ago. Don't push her luck. Bree was close with Ryan, who was always with Ella. When she said something like that, people believed her. Ella and Ryan appeared at the classroom door. Ella's expression was tense, because what Bree had just said wasn't really an attack on me. It was an attack on her. She walked over to Bree. Go back to your seat. Bree reluctantly looked at Ella, clearly sensing her displeasure, and cleared her things. Ella sat back down next to me. I didn't react. Her actions no longer meant anything to me. She was the teacher's pet and adored by everyone. No one would question her switching seats. Bree sat down next to Rayan, still fuming. She said to Rayan, "What is Ella doing? Jack treated her so badly, and she's still protecting him. He's living in her house now. Her father asked her to watch out for him." Gwen said, "That's all it is. Don't read into it." Bree said, "That makes sense." He had the gall to claim that car was his. Ella's phone is obviously expensive, and the gifts she gives Ryan aren't cheap. But Jack's phone looks exactly like mine, and he wants to play rich. Who's buying it? I quietly checked my phone. Sophia had finally replied. One word: yes. Cold as ice. Yesterday, she had been warm and easy to talk to. Then she'd left and gone distant, and she'd only just replied to the messages sent last night. Ella was sitting right next to me and caught a glimpse of my screen. The contact name, Sophia. She frowned. Nothing had obviously changed. And yet, from yesterday on, I felt like a completely different person. I took out my phone and sent a message to Sophia. Still coming to tutor this afternoon. Her reply came quickly. One word. Yes. That was enough. I put my phone away. I dove into my studies. A focus I'd never had before. At lunch, Rian came looking for Ella. She automatically glanced at me. Aren't you going to eat? My focus today had clearly thrown her off. No napping. And now I was still carefully organizing my notes after the bell. My head used to be filled with nothing but her, but even I have my moments of serious study. Seeing me still busy after school, Ella couldn't help but ask. I acted like I hadn't heard a word, ignoring her directly. Ruyan glanced at Ella. If he's not going, let's just go. We can bring him something back. No need, I said. Ruyan was a good guy. At least that's how everyone saw him. Even when others mocked me behind my back, Ruyan maintained a polite front. But I didn't want to owe anyone anything. I packed my things neatly and stood up, but went my own way. Ruyan walked beside Ella. What's with him? He's completely ignoring you. What did you do? Ella was just as confused. She wanted to figure it out, too. Normally, no matter how cold she was, I'd always come back like a puppy needing attention. But since yesterday, she hadn't done anything different. Yet here I was. She couldn't understand it. Run said, by the way, are you inviting him to your birthday party this weekend? This weekend was Ella's birthday. Last year, she'd held it at the Imperial View Hotel. I had booked everything, arranged every detail, and let her invite anyone she wanted from school. One night, hundreds of thousands were spent. Every classmate who attended was full of praise. Getting an invitation to Ella's birthday party was considered an honor. This year was no different. I had taken care of everything days ago. If I hadn't said what I'd said about firing her, Ella wouldn't have given it a second thought. But after yesterday, and today's cold shoulder, she couldn't help but worry. If I didn't show up, would she even be able to have the party? She watched me walk away and told herself to stay calm. Don't overthink it. He'll show up. He always does. He would never miss my birthday. Maybe this whole cold act is his way of planning a surprise. She relaxed a little. He'll be there, she told Ruyan. Yeah, Ruyan agreed. He's never missed one. That afternoon, Ella and Ruyan had rehearsal for a school event. I didn't wait. I went straight home. Sophia was already there. As I walked in, both she and Snowball came to greet me. Seeing her there, I smiled. Maybe it was the bond we'd shared in another life, but every time I saw her now, it felt like something rare and worth holding onto. Sophia blinked at my smile. She was used to the cold, distant version of me. All this recent warmth kept catching her off guard. She couldn't look me straight in the eye. I said with a grin, "You're early. Let's head up to the study." I led her upstairs. I ran into a lot of things in class today that I didn't understand. I'm hoping you can help. We sat down in the study. The seat next to me had always been Ella's. But even when she sat here, she never taught me seriously. She'd just say I was a waste of her time. Sophia sat beside me and pulled out 2 practice tests. She wanted to gauge where I was. I carefully worked through them and handed them to her. Sophia silently looked them over. I felt uneasy. Sorry, I'm really hopeless. It's not your fault, Dak. Your approach to studying just needs to change. Let me start you off with the basics. Is that okay? I nodded. As Sophia was teaching, she kept her head down the whole time, never looking at me, and taught very seriously. But her explanations were clearer than anything I'd ever heard. Things that had confused me for months suddenly made sense the moment she explained them. Sophia had been teaching for a while. She was getting thirsty. When she finally looked up, she caught me staring. She swallowed a little, self-conscious, and looked back at the paper. Is something wrong? Do you have a question? I was just thinking. You're so patient with me, but on the phone, you're completely cold. 2 words total. Was it because of the thing with Ella? Are you mad at me? No, Sophia said. I had relatives over yesterday. I was busy and didn't see your message until the morning. By the time I saw it, it was already late out. If you ever need anything, just call me anytime. We were deep in our studies. When my phone rang, I picked it up. It was Ella's voice. "Tak, what do you think you're doing?" What did I do now? The accusatory tone. I honestly had no idea. You had people throw all my stuff out. I glanced at Sophia. No reason to hide it. I said flatly, I told you yesterday you were fired, which means you have no reason to be in my house anymore. I'm in the middle of a session. Don't bother me. I hung up. Ella stood at the door, staring at the pile of her bags stacked outside. She couldn't believe I had actually done it. I was really kicking her out. I put the phone down. Let's continue. Sophia quietly responded, and said no more. A few minutes later, the study door flew open. Ella stood there, her face dark with anger. Her eyes swept over me and Sophia, a flicker of contempt in her gaze. Seeing her here, I stood up and asked, "What do you want? I thought you didn't like me. I thought I wasn't good enough, and now you're the one who can't seem to let go." Ella strode forward, her voice sharp. "Do you get some sick pleasure out of humiliating me like this?" Sophia instinctively stood up and shielded me. "Humiliating you?" Seeing Ella this angry, I fired back. "I think you're confused. How exactly did I humiliate you?" "Alice, I'm the one who's been humiliated. I've been paying for everything in your life. And while you and Ruyan were inseparable, I followed you around like a servant, catering to you both, swallowing your coldness every single day. You don't call that humiliation. All I had done was take back what was mine." And she called it humiliation. Ella's lips were a thin line. "Don't think bringing someone here is going to pressure me. I will never like you. I will never be with you. Let me make that clear." She turned to leave, and slammed into the door. I opened the window, the sound echoing from below. I watched her go down the stairs, pick up her bags, and walk away without a backward glance. A clean break. Ella had always been arrogant in front of me. Poor family but a spine of steel. No matter how much it gave her, she never bowed for money. That's what I had loved about her once. Now it just seemed absurd. Sophia watched me from across the room. "Chishak." I turned back. She was still there. "Sorry. Let's continue." Sophia looked at me. "Maybe I should go. You don't seem okay." "I'm fine. Really, I was just thinking about some stupid things I used to do. It's not about Ella." Watching Ella leave actually made me feel lighter. At least now I didn't have to dread what was coming. Away from Ella, this time, I wouldn't get sick. I wouldn't end up the same way. "I'll be going, then," Sophia said, and headed for the door. I stepped forward and took her hand. Sophia froze. She turned and looked at me. "What is it?" I didn't fully know what I was doing, but I could see she wasn't entirely okay. Every time Ella showed up and said the things she said, Sophia quietly started to distance herself from me. My closeness with Ella had been too obvious. I had never hidden my feelings for her. Everyone, including Sophia, assumed I was in love with Ella. And to be honest, I had been. If it hadn't been for that terrible end in my past lie, I probably would have never woken up. I let go of her hand and looked at her. "Are you free on Saturday? I want to go to the Imperial View Hotel for dinner. Want to come with?" The food there was exceptional. After a past life of starvation, I just wanted to eat well. Before, I would have taken Ella without a second thought. Now, she was the last person I'd want to take. Sophia was the person my father had arranged for me. As long as I didn't screw it up, she would probably become my wife after graduation. I used to resent my father for the arrangement, for not asking me. But looking back now, she was every bit as beautiful as Ella. And on top of that, she came from a much better family. She had chosen me. If anything, I was the lucky one. "You're not going with her," Sophia said. She meant Ella. "So you want me to be with her?" I asked. "You want me to go back to avoiding you?" "Of course not," Sophia said without a moment's hesitation. "Then it's a date. See you on Saturday." Saturday afternoon. I arrived a little late. At the entrance, I recognized a lot of familiar faces, all dressed up and looking their best. Bree saw me first and laughed. "Dak, you actually have the nerve to show your face here." I frowned. "Why can't I? The owner here is my dad's best friend. I am a VIP. I come whenever I want. Give me one reason why I shouldn't be here." Bree snorted. "Ella hasn't paid you any attention all week. And now here you are at her birthday party. So shameless." Ella's birthday. Right. That was today. I'd been so focused on my studies lately I had completely forgotten. If they hadn't mentioned it, I probably wouldn't have remembered. I had already made arrangements with the hotel. This was Ella's 18th birthday. Last year, I'd thrown her a massive celebration here. Everyone had talked about it for weeks. But it was also on that day that I'd found out about Ella and Ruyan. I'd confronted her, and she had been completely unrepentant. "Ruyan and I like each other. Why can't we be together? Jack, can you please stop meddling in my lie?" I had stopped talking to her in a rage. We'd been in a stalemate for 2 days, and then I was the one who broke first and apologized. From that birthday on, the two of them had gotten even bolder right in front of me. Eventually, I had begged her to be with me, and to get her to agree to marry me. I had even gone so far as to sign away the company my father had left me. What a fool. Standing here now, looking at the happy crowd. I had no interest in any of them. All of this was arranged by me. All of it was on my tab. And now that I'd cut ties with Ella, she was still bringing everyone here to spend freely. I was honestly curious how she planned to settle the bill. Aya ignored the taunts and headed straight for the elevator. My table with Sophia was already booked. I wondered if she had arrived yet. The elevator opened. Ella was right there, deep in conversation with Ryan until she saw me. Her eyes locked on me instantly. She smiled. I knew you'd come. And here you are. She walked towards me with a hint of smugness. Didn't you say you weren't coming? Don't think showing up means I've forgiven you. I'm still mad, check. Every time. She used her anger like a leash. I looked at her, the corner of my mouth twitching. Did you need something? Aren't you here for my birthday? Ella said. Why would I be here for your birthday? You didn't even invite me. You've got a whole crowd. You won't be missing one. What's that supposed to mean? Ella looked at me, annoyed, still playing the game, she thought. Making a scene on her birthday just to upset her. Just then, the restaurant manager walked over. Young Master Jack. I asked about Sophia. The manager nodded. She's already here. Please take me to her. But the manager turned to lead the way. Ella followed right behind me. Jack, are you done with this act yet? Seeing me still going to find Sophia. It was just that she was too kind. I glanced at her. I'm not the one making a scene. You are. You told me to stop following you. Said I was annoying. Now you've done that. So what's the problem? Your boyfriend is waiting, I said, glancing at Ryan, who looked like he wanted to follow his, but thought better of it. Ryan had never seen Ella come onto me like this before. Of course, I knew exactly why she was doing it. It wasn't me she couldn't lose. It was the money in my pocket. She'd never liked me. And yet, she had accepted everything I gave her without a second thought. She'd say no with her mouth, then take it with a smile. Now that I was pulling back, she was panicking. After all, she had been planning this birthday party for a long time. She couldn't let it fall through now. Ella said, if this is about me and Ryan, I can keep my distance from him. So can you please stop messing around? For the first time, she was the one making a concession. That alone told me how much this party meant to her. Then again, if she didn't care about appearances, she never would have built up that rich girl persona at school, and she certainly wouldn't have invited half the school to her birthday. Turns out she was afraid of losing face, too. I had seen Ella play the untouchable Ice Queen. Seeing her crumble over a birthday party was something else entirely. I found it quite amusing. I nodded slowly. All right. It's your birthday. Wouldn't want to spoil everyone's fun, would we? I turned to the manager. I made a reservation here. The Jade Hall under Ella's name. The manager checked his records. Yes, that's right, young Master Jack. Since it's her birthday, let her use the hall. I turned back to look at Ella. Is that okay? Ella breathed a sigh of relief, seeing it had softened. She looked at me and said, so all of this was just to drive a wedge between me and Ryan. You can't stand seeing us together. You're overthinking it. I don't care who you're with. Ella, you'll learn. Without me, you're nothing. The manager stood quietly by. My words had stripped Ella of all her dignity. I'm done with you. She snapped and stormed off without a backward glance. The manager glanced at me. I'll have the Jade Hall prepared immediately. I nodded. One more thing. No one leaves until she settles the bill herself. Not a single person. Understood, young Master Jack. With that taken care of, I went to find Sophia. Ella returned to Ryan's side. Ryan saw her dark expression. What happened? What did you two talk about? Nothing to talk about, Ella said. She glanced at Ryan, still steady, gentle, and considerate as always, as if she would break up with Ryan for Jack. Dream on. Once this party was over, she was cutting Jack off completely. Not even a polite smile. Sophia wasn't wearing her school uniform today. She was in a dress. The style was simple, but on her, it exuded an effortless elegance. As I walked in, she was engrossed in the menu. She heard me and looked up. Our eyes met. I smiled. Been waiting long. I just got here myself. Sophia watched me for a moment. I was in a simple shirt today, looking bright and approachable, though I was a bit thin. I naturally took the seat right beside her. Sophia hadn't expected me to sit so close. She stiffened slightly. There were plenty of other chairs. I didn't notice her discomfort. Have you ordered? Yeah. Still looking. Let me see. I leaned in, reading the menu right beside her. Sophia couldn't focus on the menu anymore. Her attention kept being drawn to me. The shampoo we used smelled nice, clean and fresh. Not at all overpowering. I was in the mood for something rich and heavy. The kind of thing that makes you feel alive. The days of being sick, Never enough to eat, never warm enough, never being able to sleep. Those days were pure torture. Even now, Reborn, I sometimes dreamed I was back in that lie. The food was spicy. I fanned my mouth with my hand. I reached for the watermelon juice and took a gulp. Safia asked, "You like spicy food?" "It's all right." I looked up at her. "What about you?" "He too," she said, going along. She picked up her chopsticks and helped herself to some food. We're in a private room. A waiter stood quietly nearby. A moment later, the owner of the Imperial View Hotel walked in. His name was Miles. I greeted him politely. "Uncle Miles." Miles looked at me with a smile. "Jack, you're here too." The way he said it told me he wasn't here for me. Sure enough, he walked straight to Safia. "It's Safia," he said respectfully. "Welcome to our hotel. Please don't hesitate to let me know if anything is not to your satisfaction." He knew who Safia was because of his close relationship with my father. Most people had no idea who she really was. No one knew that the youngest daughter of the Safia family from the capital was quietly living in the city. Safia just gave a slight nod and went back to eating. She was so cold. I had always thought she was warm. Seeing her now, I realized Safia just didn't like talking to people. Miles stood there for a moment, pouring her water himself. She said nothing. A keep your distance energy filled the room. Finally, Miles read the room and said, "I'll let you two enjoy your meal. Please, feel at home." "Uncle Miles, wait." I stopped him as I heard this. He paused, then turned back. "Young Master Jack, is there something you need?" His smile was warm and genuine. The kind of person you couldn't help but like. That's why I'd always had a good impression of him. But if I remembered correctly, in my past life, the Imperial View Hotel had burned down just 3 days after Ella's birthday party. The fire suppression system in the kitchen was inadequate, and when the fire broke out, the extinguishers were completely useless. The fire had even claimed lives. Imperial View had been the best hotel in the city. After that, it never recovered. The rumor was that Miles had fallen gravely ill from the shock. I looked at him and asked, "Is the hotel's fire safety system in order?" Miles looked at me, surprised. "That's a sudden question, young Master Jack." "Just a feeling. It might be worth having someone double-check, especially the kitchen." "Rest assured," Miles said. "Our fire safety is top-notch. We take full responsibility for our customers." I looked him straight in the eye. "Uncle Miles, why don't you go check it out yourself?" My persistence had him a little displeased. He stared at me. "What are you implying, young Master Jack? You don't trust my word. Your father and I are old friends. He knows exactly what kind of man I am. I do business with integrity. This feels like a personal insult." I was close to a son's age. In his eyes, I was just a kid who didn't know any better. Safia spoke up. "If he said so, it can't hurt to take a look." Ever since Miles had walked in, she hadn't said a word to him. She'd only answered briefly when he spoke to her. And yet, even now, those words carried weight. Miles respected her enough to complain. "All right, I'll go right now." Safia was perfectly poised, and her family background spoke for itself. She was close to my age, but somehow her words carried a weight that mine simply didn't. After Miles left, I looked at Safia, surprised. "Why did you help me?" I asked. "Because I knew what was coming." But from Safia's perspective, she had no reason to believe any of it. Safia looked at me. He spoke up. "Of course I'm going to back you. What if I was just making it up?" "So what if you were?" Safia said. "Even if there's nothing, all he loses is a walk to the kitchen." She said it all so calmly. But looking at her, I felt something warm swell inside me, what it felt like to be truly trusted. I thought back to the day I was diagnosed. No one wanted to believe I was a victim. They all said it was my own recklessness. If I had been reckless, I would have owned it. Everyone criticized. Everyone looked at me with disgust. Slowly, even I began to hate myself. But it had been Ella who set it up. Someone had intentionally used a contaminated needle on me at her instruction. Also, she could have an excuse to refuse the marriage. Only the one who set the trap knows how truly innocent you are. Safia and I took our time with the meal. When we were done, we didn't leave. We ordered dessert. I had even brought my homework with me and did it right there at the table. Safia guided me through the problems, as I were. We talked until evening. When Ella's birthday party ended and the guests were about to leave, they found themselves blocked. Ella hadn't paid the bill. Ella called me. I let it ring. Safia watched from the side. "Aren't you going to answer?" "I know who it is." I let it ring again. It took 2 more calls before I finally picked up. "Jack, what is this?" On the other end, Ella's voice was full of rage. The angrier she got, the more at ease I felt. I had said I was done with her, but the debt from my past life still needed to be paid. If it wasn't, I would never be able to let it go. I smiled. Ella, what's wrong? Why so agitated? Come here and pay, Ella said through gritted teeth. Don't make this any worse. She had planned on leaving tonight and never dealing with me again. She hadn't expected me to be waiting for her. Now she couldn't pay and everyone was stuck there. Everyone was looking at her. That's strange, I said. I wasn't at your party. Why should I pay your bill? Why not split it with everyone? I'm sure they'll chip in. They seem to like you so much. Good friends, too. Always going out to eat together. They used to give Ella over 100 a month in spending money. She took it as if it were her right. In her mind, it was just her tutoring fee. Perfectly fair. She was generous with it, too. Always treating everyone to meals. Everyone thought she was rich and flocked to her, but every penny of it was mine. Ella said, Jack, is this really necessary? What do you want from me? Just tell me what it will take for you to come pay. Well, I said, if you're asking someone for a favor, you should have the right attitude. Don't you think? I could hear her hiss on the other end of the line. I wasn't her dog anymore. Of course, she was mad. I smiled, unwilling. All right, then. I'm hanging up. Please. Ella ground out the word, her knuckles white around her phone. The hotel staff had them all held at the door. There was no escape. I hung up and stood up. I'll be right back, I told Sophia. I walked to the Jade Hall. The classmates from the party were still inside. None of them could leave. All eyes were on Ella, waiting for her to pay. The atmosphere was incredibly awkward. Ella had nowhere to go. She stood there under everyone's gaze with no way out. The moment I walked in, the manager approached. Young Master Jack, she said politely. I looked around the crowd, all dressed up and looking their best. This afternoon, they had looked down on me. Now that same crowd couldn't even afford to walk out the door. There was nothing more humiliating than being stuck with an unpaid bill. I smiled. What's going on? Isn't this a birthday party? No one looks very happy. I deliberately looked at Ella. Her expression was darker than anyone else's. Ryan stood to one side, clearly unsure what was happening. The manager explained, Miss Ella hasn't settled the bill. They've just asked everyone to stay until it's resolved. I waved my hand. Is that all? No need to make a big deal. These are my classmates. I'll cover the bill tonight. I handed my card to the manager. She took it and processed the payment. The way everyone looked at me changed. Complex, uncertain. Ella was the one throwing the birthday party, yet Jack was the one paying. What exactly was going on? She couldn't afford her own party. Ella felt her face burn. She stared at me. No wonder he came so easily. This was his plan all along, to humiliate her, to let everyone see that she was poor, that she relied on him for money. He could have quietly settled it without a word. Instead, he made a show of it, swiping the card right in front of everyone. The guy had completely lost his mind. A moment later, the manager returned, handing me back the card along with the receipt. All set, young Master Jack. Here is the bill. I glanced at the total. Ted, I deliberately read it out loud. 860. Happy birthday. Since it's your special day, I'll help you out this time, but there won't be a next time. I glanced at Ran. He was standing right beside me, and his face had gone pale. Wait, all of Ella's money comes from Jack. Isn't she supposed to be from a rich family? The scene unfolding before them was a slap in the face to everyone present. Bree stepped forward and confronted me. Jack, what kind of joke is this? Just because Ella's money passes through your hands doesn't mean it's yours. You're just the son of her butler holding it for her. What do you have to be so smug about? Does your family let you help manage their money? I looked at Bree and smiled. Since you brought it up, I am not the butler's son. Let me be clear. I am not. Her father was my family's driver. He left me at the school gate to drive Ella and Ryan instead. He's been fired. If you don't believe me, ask Ella herself. I turned to look at her. What do you say? She stared at me, her eyes full of venom. She had never, not once in her life, no matter how hard things got, been this humiliated. And now everyone was watching her fall apart. But she couldn't say a word because there was a real possibility he would take his money back and leave her high and dry. She ignored me and walked out. Ryan watched it all, then followed her out. The whole scene was unbearable, but he had no choice. What he hadn't expected, though, was that she was the driver's daughter. So why had she been pretending to be from a rich family all this time? Once they were gone, I glanced at everyone left in the room. Nothing more to see here. You can all go. Get home, say. It's late. One by one, they filed out of the Jade Hall. I watched them go, then walked out myself. The manager saw me to the exit. She walked me to the elevator. Sophia arrived just then. We got in together. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. I had made it all clear back there in front of everyone, but I didn't feel particularly good about it. Compared to everything I had suffered, what I had just done to Ella was a scratch on the surface of the debt I needed to settle. Sophia noticed my silence. She didn't press. We got to the lobby, and Miles was there. The moment he saw me, he came straight over. Jack. This time, it wasn't Sophia he was looking for. It was me. Uncle Miles, I said politely. Miles took my hand with both of his. Jack, I don't know how to thank you. If it wasn't for you, this hotel would have been done for. I went to check myself just now. There were serious problems everywhere. It was my cousin's negligence. I sent him home. Relax. It was nothing. Miles looked at me curiously. How did you know there was a problem? The question caught me off guard. I quickly came up with an excuse. I dreamed about it last night. Miles burst out laughing. All right, I won't ask any more questions. Oh, I've prepared a few gifts for you both. He signaled for an assistant to bring them over. 2 small gift bags. Thank you. If you ever need anything, just say the word. He meant every word. Miles sought us to the door. Sophia's car was already waiting. I got in and looked out the window. The streets were quiet at this hour. Still a decent number of cars on the road, though. Traffic was light. I remembered we used to talk a lot, but tonight we hadn't said a word. Sophia didn't press me, but she was thinking. Thinking about how I knew about the fire hazard at Imperial View. Logically, I shouldn't have known more about his hotel than he did. She had also heard what had happened in the Jade Hall. It was Ella's birthday, yet Jack had spent it with her, Mabilla. That alone was one thing. But then he had deliberately humiliated Ella in front of everyone. He was truly done with her. Then why did he look so empty right now? The truth was, the sadness only lasted a moment. I knew I had been given a second chance. Things could still change. As long as I didn't repeat the same mistakes, there was still time. All the hard studying lately, it was really taking a toll. I felt like I could sleep forever. Right now, I could barely keep my eyes open. Soon enough, I leaned to one side and fell asleep on Sophia's shoulder. Sophia froze. By the time they reached my house, Sophia's arm was a little numb. She hadn't dared to shift, afraid of waking me. She had held still the entire way. Miss, we're here. Sophia glanced out the window. Then her gaze landed on my face. Pale, peaceful. She hesitated, not sure whether to wake me. The driver was already out and waiting by the door. Sophia still didn't wake me. I felt the car stop and opened my eyes, glancing out the window. When I realized I was home, I slowly looked over at Sophia. She was sitting perfectly still, not quite meeting my eyes. I gently rotated my neck, a little stiff, and sat up. We're here. Sophia gave a slight nod. So why didn't you wake me? You looked like you needed it. She said it the way she said everything, her face completely neutral. I looked at her, and noticed the tips of her ears were red. She had always struck me as reserved, but I hadn't expected this level of innocence. Sophia. She heard her name, and met my eyes. Are you scared of me? Then why do you avoid looking at me? When we're together, you act like I'm bothering you. Sophia cleared her throat. I'm just not used to being this close to someone. You're the first. I couldn't help but smile. So why didn't you tell me to move? Something in my words seemed to spur her on, as if to prove she was in control. And she asked, why did you and Ella fight? I thought you liked her. The question caught me off guard. I stared at the empty road ahead. I had just realized I didn't. A beat. What? Nothing. I am going in. I got out of the car. Just then, the front gate slowly opened. My father, the one, appeared at the door. The moment I saw him, something in me lit up. Dad, you're finally back. Dad was always busy with work. Most of the time I was alone in that house. Lots of staff, but few who could actually manage me. That was one thing. But even my father spoiled me rotten. Always putting my happiness first. Hampered by him. Those were my most carefree days. In my past life, my dad had told me to stop chasing Ella. I hadn't listened. Seeing him now, all I felt was warmth. Standing in front of him, a long buried itch rose up. I threw myself into his arms. The tears fell before I could stop them. Maybe it was only in front of your closest people that you let yourself fall apart. Dad had been prepared to play the strict father when I came home so late. Then I did this, and started crying. He panicked instantly. He patted me on the back, gently and carefully. Hey, what's wrong, son? Who hurt you? Was it that Ella girl? I heard you fired them both. I held on to him tightly. It's nothing. I just missed you. You silly kid. Every time I call too much, you tell me I'm annoying. Wait, is that the Sofia family's car? His words made me turn around. Sure enough, Sofia's car was still at the gate. Sofia had gotten out. My eyes were still red, for her to see me like this. How embarrassing. Sofia gave me a ride. I told my dad. We went out to dinner. Dad glanced at me, clearly surprised. He had mentioned the engagement before. I had been completely against it. I had even said I would never have anything to do with Sofia, and now here they were, coming home from dinner together. He didn't know what had changed, but he turned to Sofia anyway. Sofia, come in and sit for a while. Hello, uncle, Sofia said. I won't come in today. I should get home. She glanced at me once, then went back to the car. The car rolled away. I followed my father inside. Did Sofia do something to you? Dad looked at my red-rimmed eyes and my crumpled face. I shook my head. No, she's been good to me. I sat down on the sofa. Dad continued to watch me. He was still young. He hadn't been old when he passed in my past life, either, but somehow I always remembered him as being older when he left. Dad asked again and again, over and over, until he was satisfied that Ella hadn't done anything to me. Sunday morning, I had just gotten out of bed when Auntie Tran informed me that Ella was here. The memory of last night flashed through my mind. We had really burned every bridge between us. Ella should know by now. I wasn't going to indulge her anymore. And yet, here she was. I went downstairs and saw it wasn't just Ella. Her father was here, too. Steve was sitting on the sofa talking to my father. Oh, it's all Ella's fault. The girl doesn't know how to behave. I've given her a piece of my mind. She won't give Jack any more trouble. My father's brows furrowed. And since when do you call my son by his first name? Dad had never liked either of them. The only reason he had tolerated them for so long was for fear of alienating me. Steve realized his mistake, and quickly apologized. Young Master Jack. Of course. The moment he saw me on the stairs, his eyes went straight to me. Good morning, young Master Jack. I brought Ella here today to apologize. I looked over at Ella. She sat there, her expression dark, saying nothing. Apologize. I didn't believe it for a second. Her face couldn't have made her resentment any clearer. She was still fuming from last night. No way was she here to apologize. Steph, what are you talking about? I said, Ella didn't do anything to me. There's no need to apologize. But I heard you fired my girl. When he himself had been fired, he hadn't been half as worried. His monthly salary wasn't much, and the hours were long. But Ella was different. She barely had to teach me, and the amount she was getting was substantial. And who knew? Maybe one day the entire Jiang family fortune would be hers. Now that was all gone, of course, he couldn't take it. For the past years, she's been tutoring me. My grades have only gotten worse. Besides, it was Ella who said she couldn't do the job, that I was too dumb to teach, so I did her the favor of firing her. There's no bad blood between us. She did nothing wrong. Really, there's no need for an apology. Dad glanced at me. My expression was perfectly calm. Before, I had insisted on having Ella around. Insisted on having her teach me. Dad had had no choice but to agree. Now, I had let her go completely. Dad was surprised and quietly moved. His son had finally grown up. I had to get ready for class, and I needed to eat. Dad had someone see them out. After breakfast, I headed out. The driver was already waiting in the yard. I got in. The car pulled out of the gate. I saw Ella still standing outside, her father beside her. The soft-spoken man from inside was gone. Steve raised his hand and slapped her across the face. I knew Ella's story. Her father was a gambling addict. Her mother couldn't take it and had left, abandoning Ella without a second thought. All these years she had lived with her father, borrowing money from relatives just to get through school. As she got older, she started to find her own way, to excel academically under those circumstances, to always top the school. I had admired her for that. I had given her everything. My concern, my attention, the best things I had because I wanted her life to be easier. But while I itched for her, she had never given me a second thought. To her, I was an atom. The one she really cared for was never me. I looked away and went straight to school. After everything that happened yesterday, the way people treated me had softened considerably. Classmates started coming over to talk. Jack, is your family really that rich? So, did all of Ella's money come from you? We always thought she was from a rich family. Now you know, don't you? Young Master Jack, what about me? I promise I'm much nicer than Ella. I looked at the girl in front of me. A laugh escaped before I could stop it. Just then, Ella walked in. She heard the girl's words and let out a cold laugh. Dream on. He'd have to actually want you first. He's already got a new target. Hidden line. New target. Everyone turned at Ella's words. Someone new. Who could possibly top Ella? Was there even anyone at this school who came close? It was hard to imagine. She might have lost the rich girl persona, but Ella's academic record was exceptional, and she was undeniably beautiful. Everyone agreed she would go far. Ella didn't bother to answer the crowd. She just turned her gaze on me. You spent all that time being my dog. Just because I wouldn't date you, you turned on me like this. Jack, no matter what you do, I will never like you. You're a poor student who thinks his family's money can buy the world. You're not even worth a fraction of Orion. Ella's words reminded everyone of my academic record. Dead last in the rankings. Not only was I her dog, I was a complete liability. Before I could answer, Ella brought up last night's party again. You were the one who pushed me to invite everyone. I didn't even want to go. And then you deliberately humiliated everyone there. Is that what money means to you? Something to play with people's dignity. And don't twist the truth. Don't go around saying you were providing for me. That money was my tutoring fee, nothing more. I won't be taking another cent from you, but don't expect any help from me, either. With that, Ella switched seats without a second glance at me. Her every gesture said she wanted nothing to do with me. She was back to building her untouchable, gold scholar persona. Classic Ella. I hadn't forgotten how she had come to me last night for help. When I saw her father hit her this morning, I felt a flicker of pity. Now I was thinking he hadn't hit her hard enough. I wasn't going to let this go. Tutoring, I said. You have some nerve bringing that up. From the moment you started teaching me, what exactly have you done besides spend my money? I've been last in class every month. That's the result of your tutoring. Ella's expression didn't change. I told you from the start, you're too slow to teach. That's not my problem. With all your money, Jack, maybe you should buy yourself a new brain. The whole class burst out laughing. I watched her standing there, so confident, and said, Are you sure I'm slow, or is it your teaching? Ella thought of Sophia. She knew Sophia had been tutoring me. She let out a short snort. Fine, then, let's settle this. Let's see your results on next month's exam. You don't even have to do much. Just move up 100 spots in the rankings, and I'll admit it was my fault. She wanted to see if Sophia could work a miracle, because in her mind, my brain just didn't work. Teal, I said, looking her straight in the eye. She was only asking for 100 spots. She wasn't even setting the bar high. That said everything about how little she thought of me. Ella turned to the class. You all heard him. He agreed. If he moves up 100 spots on the next exam, I'll run a tank as a penalty. A wave of excitement went through the room. All eyes were on Ella. Bree glanced at me. If the school BUE is running at 10, then you should run a 10, too, shouldn't you? If you lose, check, can you handle a 10? If you're scared, just admit it now. I looked at them and said, sure. 100 spots isn't that much of a challenge. The truth was, Sophia's explanations really clicked with me. The last few days, I felt myself making real progress, so I agreed without hesitation. A clear goal was exactly the kind of pressure I needed. Ella saw me nod and stifled a laugh. Idiot, she muttered and sat down. She hadn't really expected me to take the bet. When she was tutoring me, I was completely clueless. She knew exactly what my level was. She was already looking forward to watching me run. The bet was barely made. As Ryan walked through the door, he paused at the threshold. He had heard everything Ella had just said. He had spent all of last night in a foul mood, but by now he had sorted things out in his head. Ella's grades were excellent. She was beautiful, and even if her family circumstances were humble, she was hardworking and driven. Wasn't she 100 times better than a liability like Jack? She would make it on her own. There was nothing to lose by being with her. With that thought settled, he walked over to Ella's side. Ella, your father may be a driver, but he earns a living with his own 2 hands. And you have always been at the top of your class. To have come this far without much support, It couldn't have been easy. I will always be by your side. Ryan's words worked like a charm. Every classmate who had had their doubts about Ella was suddenly moved. Ryan standing by her through all of this. That dedication was something else. And really, people had always admired Ella, not just for the money, but for who she was. Her character and her grades spoke for themselves. But Jack, he didn't even try. And yet, he expected someone to be with him. So shameless. I watched the two of them perform their little duet and felt like weeping at the sheer drama of it. So touching. These two deserved each other. Definitely. I could only blame myself for ever getting involved. After Ella's little speech, everyone decided I was a complete liability. I had just shaken off the lapdog label and the butler's son rumor. Now they were keeping their distance because of my grades. But to be honest, I couldn't care less compared to the loneliness and helplessness of my past life. This was nothing. At least I had my family's fortune and parents who loved me. I focused on my studies and didn't bother with the rest of them. After school, my dad drove over with my mom to pick me up. They were both in their 40s, but they had been the golden couple of their school back in the day. And even now, they had a quiet elegance about them. Mom got out of the car, and the moment she saw me, she pulled me into a warm hug. Then she thoughtfully opened the door for me. Ella and Ryan were just coming out of school when they saw the whole thing. The classmates with them saw me get into a car with an older woman. Curiosity piqued. Could that be Jack's new person? Ella mentioned it this morning. She must be in her 40s. What's her relationship with Jack? The speculation started immediately. So that's it. He's got money. He's being kept by an older woman. And we thought he was something special. No wonder Ella wouldn't touch him. Either would I. At his age, that's disgusting. Ella heard them and didn't bother to correct them. Ryan glanced at Ella. Her silence was like a confirmation. A wave of relief washed over him. Jack's grades were poor, but the money had bothered Ryan. Tens of thousands spent in one night without a thought. It had never sat right with him. He had always felt he was somehow beneath Jack, and he hated it. Now that it turned out Jack was just being funded by an older woman, suddenly things felt a lot more even. At least Ryan would never stoop to such things. He would get where he was going with his own hard work. One day he would have everything Jack had, and he would have earned it. Ryan and Ella got on the bus. I can't take you home today, Ella said. Now that the Jack tutoring gig was over, she had found a part-time job. Her father's gambling debts were huge, and he was always helping himself to her money. Now, she had no choice but to earn enough to support herself. Okay, Ryan said simply. Dad and Mom took me to buy a new phone, then took me out to dinner. When we got to the restaurant, Sophia was there. Sophia lived in the city with her uncle, who happened to be my dad's best friend. Tonight was a formal introduction between the two families. Dad had been trying to make this happen for a long time, but I had always refused. Too preoccupied with Ella to think about it. So the dinner kept getting postponed. The day showed up willingly. Dad was secretly thrilled. His son had finally grown up and started to listen. During dinner, he and Sophia's uncle chatted happily, at ease. I sat beside Sophia. I told her about the bet, that I needed to move up 100 spots in the rankings. When I was done, Sophia just gave a slight nod. I couldn't tell what she was thinking. Do you think I was being reckless? That the pressure will be too much? Sophia looked at me. Mel, do you think I can do it? I've been following everything you've taught me lately. But still. It's fine, Sophia said, looking me in the eye. Leave it to me. And just so you know, you're quite smart. Not at all as slow as people say. The person she meant was obviously Ella. Ella's comments about me being slow. Sophia had never responded to them at the time, but she had remembered. I smiled at that. That's a relief. Thank you for putting in the effort with me. It's nothing. In the middle of our conversation, I noticed the room had gone quiet. I looked up and saw both my dad and Sophia's uncle watching us. My face burned. Dad, why are you staring? No reason. Carry on. Dad went back to talking to Sophia's uncle, but inside he couldn't stop marveling. They really did get along. He was the one who had arranged the engagement, yet somehow it felt like his son was being stolen right out from under his nose. After dinner, Dad and Sophia's uncle had more to discuss. Sophia and I stepped out first. We didn't go home. We found a nearby cave. I wanted ice cream, so I went to order. I brought it back and sat down in the seat beside Sophia. We continued our studies where we had left off. My head was filled with formulas and concepts. Tank. That would half kill me if I lost this bet. Here you are. The server brought our order out quickly. I looked up and the server standing in front of me was Ella. I looked at her, surprised. What are you doing here? Ella shot me a cold look. I should be the one asking you that. Did you find out I was working here and come here just to bother me? Even though I had been acting cold, Ella still believed I had feelings for her. That these were just pressure tactics to get her to give in. Otherwise, her getting a part-time job and me showing up at the same place. How could that be a coincidence? You're reading too much into it. It's just a coincidence. Ella glanced past Sofia, not lingering, and walked away. She had no interest in wasting another second on either of them. Watching her walk away with that air of superiority, I really couldn't understand what she had to be so smug about. I turned back and offered the ice cream to Sofia. She shook her head. You have it. She reached over, picked up my bag, and walked with me out of the cave. I had planned on staying a little longer, but running into Ella here had taken the fun out of the evening. For the next 2 weeks, they studied relentlessly. Sofia came to the Jane house regularly to tutor me. My progress was real and measurable, but every time Ella caught me at it, she couldn't help but smite. Shaq, if you're having second thoughts, there's still time to back out. Just don't come crying when the results are posted. You're distracting me. I scowled and put in my earbuds. The monthly exam was finally over. I was in a surprisingly good mood. I rushed home, almost unable to contain myself. The results weren't out yet, but I knew I had done well. Sofia was in the yard drinking tea and playing with Snowball. Snowball was getting rounder by the day. I went over and picked Snowball up. You're early today. Sofia looked up. I'm always early. I was wondering, don't you have things to do at school? Ella is also a top student, and she and Rhea always seem to have something going on, but Sofia always seems completely unhurried, and she's been here every time I get back. I have a lot of freedom. They don't really keep track of me, so school activities. They usually don't go. Not even student council. Sofia shook her head. I'll go to a competition once in a while, but not often. Why not? It's not interesting. And the teachers worry it's not a fair fight. It might discourage the other students. But I heard you do compete sometimes. The ones Ella goes to. She mentioned you're always there, and you've beaten her for first place more than once. She really can't stand you for that. Sofia picked up her teacup and took a quiet sip. When Ella was competing, she usually made sure to show up. I was dying to know how I'd done, so I went over the answers with Sofia right there in the yard. Most of them were correct. My mood got even better. On the day the results were posted, the homeroom teacher came in and went through the usual praise for Ella and Ryan. First and second again, as expected. Then the teacher paused. There's one more student I'd like to commend, and that's Jack. I sat up straight immediately. Ella glanced at me, her eyes full of mockery. The teacher continued. Jack's results this time were very impressive. He's been at the bottom of the rankings for a long time, but this exam marks a significant leap. He is now in the top 200 of the entire grade. If he keeps this up, he'll do very well on the college entrance exams. Top 200. The whole class stared. Even Ella froze. She had been expecting me to manage a 100-spot climb. Top 200 was never in the calculation. To be honest, I hadn't dared to hope for this, either. Maybe it was because I had suffered so much in my past life that I had no interest in wasting this one. I had been paying attention in ways that I never had before. Every day, I listened carefully in class, then went over everything with Sofia. She had a gift for teaching. Problems that had once seemed unsolvable became almost simple when she explained them. Effort, it turned out, really did pay off. Are you sure, teacher? Jack's grades were terrible before. How could he? I'm not mistaken, the teacher said, turning to me with a calm expression. Having a student drag down the class average had been a quiet headache for him. He had no idea I had this in me. Getting that recognition from the teacher really made my day. I caught Ella watching me. So, how did I do? You said I was too slow to learn. Tent, and Ella, don't forget. Ella's lips were a thin line. She really couldn't understand it. Was Sofia really that good of a teacher? After school, Ella had no choice but to run the 10. I didn't go home. I stayed specifically to watch. I sat quietly on the side, watching her from the corner of my eye. Watching her suffer gave me a sense of satisfaction I couldn't name. It felt good. Really good. Rianne stood nearby, looking at me with barely concealed anger at how cold I had become. Bree glanced at me, then leaned in towards Ryan. Top 200. Who cares? It's not like he got first place. Acting like he owns the world. Ella got first, and she's not half as happy. Ryan got second, and it's the same. Rand's gaze was on Ella running laps on the track. "A bet's a bet," he said evenly. "Ella can take a loss. So what if his grades improve?" Bree said. "He still goes home to that woman. The whole thing makes me sick." "Don't spread rumors about people," Rand said. "Ruyan, you're just too nice." Bree patted him on the shoulder. By the time Ella finished her 10, it was almost dark. She walked over, drenched in sweat, and looked at me. "Happy now?" I nodded. "Good effort. Feel free to make another bet with me anytime." I stood up and walked out of the school grounds, feeling lighter than I had in ages. The moment Ella watched my departing figure, I felt incredibly happy, and I was even doing little hops. Her image of me was still that of a lovesick dog, but right now I didn't even bother to look back. She thought of Jack and Sophia. Was he really going to end up with her? They were a match in terms of family background. If he really did end up with Sophia, the moment that thought arose, Ella felt something she hadn't expected. Annoyance, like something of hers had been taken away. "Ella." Ruyan noticed her watching me, and spoke up. "You must be exhausted. Here, have some water." He offered a bottle of water. Ella took it. "Fine." She was always perfectly polite with Ryan. "You've worked hard," Ryan said. "Though it is a little strange. Jack's grades have always been terrible. For him to jump so much so suddenly. You don't think he cheated, do you?" Bree chimed in. "That's exactly what I was thinking. He cheated just to make Ella lose. Otherwise, how do you explain it? She tutored him every day, and his grades were still terrible. Then suddenly it's this easy," Ren said, glancing at Bree. "You can't say things like that without proof. If he comes after you, don't expect any sympathy." "I'll report it to the teacher tomorrow," Bree said. I took the car home, excited to share the news with Sophia, of making Ella admit defeat. Sophia deserved to share the credit, but Antitran told me Sophia hadn't come today. A small wave of disappointment. I changed out of my school clothes and went down to the dining room. Dad was on a business trip lately. I was alone in the house. I called Sophia. Sophia was at the pool at home. The butler quietly approached. "Miss, there's a call for you." The figure in the water didn't seem to hear. The butler added, "It's Jack." Sophia surfaced immediately. She gracefully pulled herself up onto the side of the pool. The butler was there with a towel, wrapping it around her. Sophia answered. The cool composure on her face softened a little. "Hello. Are you busy? Did I call at a bad time? I just finished a swim. I heard you didn't come today, so I thought I'd call." I smiled as I said it. My results shot up. I made the top 200. You know what? Ella ran a tank today. The moment I saw her put in her place, it felt so satisfying. Sophia moved to the lounge chair by the pool and sat down, listening patiently as I babbled on. After a moment, I asked, "Are you still there?" "Still here." "Congratulations. I hope I am not disturbing you." "Not at all. You've got time. You've been coming every day to tutor me. You must be tired. Take a few days off. I'll study on my own and message you if I get stuck." "Okay." I didn't hang up right away. "Your voice sounds a little different. Did something happen? Is there anything I can help with?" The question caught her by surprise. "We're partners in this, aren't we? You've done so much for me. I want to do the same. Without your guidance, there's no way I would have gotten these results. I can't just take what you're giving without giving back, especially since you don't need anything material from me." Sophia listened, and at the word partner, the corner of her mouth quirked up despite herself. "Okay, Shaq." The next day, I arrived at school to find the homeroom teacher walking in with a heavy expression. She stood at the head of the room, clearly angry, tension radiating off her and her gestures. Her eyes locked on me. "Shaq, stand up." I stood up, looking at the homeroom teacher, confused. She said, "Someone has reported you for cheating on this month's exam. Do you have anything to say?" The moment I heard the word cheating, I glanced around the room. All eyes in the class were on me. Bree sat right next to Ryan, a smug, satisfied smile on her face. The teacher continued. "Your grades last month were terrible, but this time you improved so dramatically, it's hard to understand. To be on the safe side, we've decided to give you a different set of questions and have you retake the test. Any objections?" Retake. I was not happy about this. Bree could barely contain herself. She jumped to her feet. "See, I told you we cheated. If the grades were really yours, what's there to be afraid of? Just retake it." She stared at me with that triumphant look, as if she had finally caught me red-handed. I found it almost funny. "You reported me without a shred of evidence. The burden of proof is on the accuser. which means you need to provide proof. Otherwise, this is slander. If everyone follows your lead and reports me every day, I'll have to retake exams nonstop. I might as well just quit school. The moment I spoke up, Ella glanced at me, clearly surprised. I used to be such a pushover. Every time someone came at me, I could barely fight back. But this time, the words came out sharp and clear. Was this really the same person she had known all this time? She knew me inside and out. And yet, right now, I felt like a completely different person. Seeing me fight back with solid logic, the teacher said, "It's understandable that people have their doubts. Asking you to retake the test is also a chance for you to prove your innocence. You don't want people whispering behind your back forever, do you?" The teacher wasn't backing down. It was clear she didn't believe I had earned those grades on my own. I smiled. "Of course, I'll retake it, I just think being accused like this for no reason is completely out of line. We're classmates. I don't know what Bree's motive is for coming at me like this. And if I score even higher next time, isn't she just going to find something else to say? So, since she chose to report me without a shred of evidence, she should face some consequences. If I'm proven innocent, how about she gets expelled?" Expelled. The word gave the teacher pause. Was that too much? She wondered. Bree's grades were better than mine, so naturally the teacher leaned towards her side. But this kind of rumor, once it got started, it did serious damage to me. What if the pressure became too much and I did something reckless? Wouldn't that be much worse? The moment I mentioned the word reckless, the room tensed instantly. I turned to Bri. "What's wrong? You were so sure I cheated, scared to put a bet on it." "Of course not," she snapped. My challenge had hit a nerve, and she took the bait immediately. She turned to the teacher, angry. "I'm willing to stake my future on this. Everyone knows what Jack's grades are like. I can say with certainty, he cheated." My hesitation to retake the test without a fight had only convinced Bree further that I had something to hide. She told the teacher, "But if Jack is proven to have cheated, then he should be expelled, too. I refuse to be in the same school as someone like him." "Deal." I agreed before the teacher could say a word. The teacher then announced, "Jack, come see me in my office after school." With that, she walked out. Bree watched me with pure anticipation, waiting for the drama. Ella stared at me, stunned that I had put expulsion on the table. She lowered her voice. "Jack, are you sure about this? If they decide you cheated, you'll be expelled. That's so much more embarrassing. If it were me, I'd go apologize to the teacher. A monthly exam isn't worth it. If you're sincere enough, I can even put in a good word for you. Besides, you wanted to beat me. You've already seen me run a 10. I can let that go." She was playing the part of being concerned, but I just looked at her. She had been cold to me lately, acting distant and untouchable. And now here she was, playing the concerned friend. I smelled. "You think I cheated, too, don't you? That's why you're standing here, putting on this little act. Instead of lecturing me, why don't you go talk to Bray? She's your boyfriend's best friend." Bree might be the one making the noise, but Ryan was hardly innocent. He just hid behind his gentle, harmless facade. I wasn't going to pretend he had nothing to do with it. I knew exactly what kind of person Ryan was from my past life. I had seen it all. Every time things went south between Ella and me, he would be right there, sniping from the sidelines. Ella had meant well, but seeing me throw it back in her face, her expression went cold. "I'm doing this for your own good. Can't you see that? For my own good." I looked at her with curiosity. "What's wrong? Is buzzing tables not working out? Back to living off me?" At the mention of living off, Ella's face darkened. She said nothing, her teeth clenched. Her part-time job hadn't been going well lately. The schoolwork had been stressing her out, and the student council was piling on top of it. She wasn't getting home until late, and the pay was barely enough to cover her expenses. I had spoiled her into a lifestyle she couldn't maintain on her own. Now she was realizing the cruelty of going from luxury to nothing. And especially because of me, she thought I was just throwing a rich boy's tantrum, making her life difficult for a few days. But now something felt off. I had completely stopped chasing her. No matter how badly she had treated me before, I had always come back. She just kept quiet. "No comeback." I smiled. "Are you still waiting for me to throw a fit for a few days and then come back and apologize to you?" I really do understand. I was used to spending freely, too. After I got kicked out with nothing. Those days left a scar I can't forget. If you've always been frugal, maybe it's bearable. But when you've known nothing but comfort, and then it's all taken away, the pain is something else entirely. Back then, I lay in bed every night just dreaming. Dreaming that Ella would suddenly wake up, realize I was innocent, and come find me. That she would take me back. But I waited and never saw it. Not until the day I died. I had believed in her. And all I got in return was news of her marrying someone else, and then the truth that she had set me up from the start. Ella's days now weren't easy, either. I had supported her for a long time. After all, I don't need your pity, Ella saying, her lips a thin line. If you're still thinking I'm going to come back and comfort you, you're dreaming. If you want me back, then beg. Maybe if I feel sorry enough for you, I'll be a little kinder. Throw you some cash. I said it with a smile. Inside, I felt nothing but ice. It wasn't that I would actually forgive her just because she begged, but I wanted to see it. Ella on her knees, desperate. She had always been too proud. I couldn't stand that look on her face. She had ruined me in my past life. This time, I wasn't letting her off the hook. So I would give her just enough hope to keep her going. Go away, Ella said coldly. She turned away and didn't look at me again. I was in no hurry. After school, I went to the teacher's office. In addition to the homeroom teacher, there was the head of discipline, along with 2 other teachers from our grade. They had a new set of questions ready. When I was done, the teachers graded them together. The results were in. My score was actually high. Proof that I hadn't cheated on the monthly exam. The teacher looked surprised. It's clear you didn't cheat. But why were your grades so bad before? I thought back to how I had lost my way over Ella. I was immature. I didn't take my studies seriously. We've had a new tutor at home recently, and the results have been pretty clear. Maybe only those who have really left school can understand how precious this time is. School is one of the few places where effort really pays off. Step out of those gates, and the world will show you how cruel it can be. I went back to the classroom. The homeroom teacher and the head of discipline came in together to announce the results. Once it was confirmed, I hadn't cheated. Bray's face fell into pure panic. How is that possible? How could he not have cheated? The teacher's expression was like stone. The attitude in this class has become a real problem. Classmates should be lifting each other up. To jump to conclusions about someone who has made progress is the worst kind of blow you can deal them. I hope everyone will take this as a lesson. I looked at Bray. You said you would quit school if I was proven innocent. You're not going to go back on your word, are you? Bray stammered. So you're backing out. Turns out some people really can't be trusted on their word. In that case, don't bet what you can't keep. Jack. Ren chimed in, playing the peacemaker now that his friend was in trouble. We're all classmates. There's no need to take it this far. Bree was worried about you. She was afraid you might be going down the wrong path. She didn't mean any harm. Just give her another chance. The moment Rand spoke up, the other students chimed in, too. Yes, expulsion is too harsh. We smiled, looking at all these faces, so quick to have opinions that cost them nothing. They really did listen to Ryan. Whatever he said won. I turned to Ryan. You're so concerned about her. Why don't you quit school in her place? Ryan's lips were a thin line, his eyes on me, and for a few moments, his eyes began to well up as if I was the one bullying him. The rest of the class instantly turned against me. Bree was the one who came after you, Ryan. Why are you dragging Ryan into this? Brian was actually speaking up for you. You know, he treats every student the same. Now everyone was against me. Ismail treats everyone the same. I wouldn't go that far. If it had been me getting expelled today, would you have said a word in my defense? Of course, Ryan said. I'm always telling people to be nicer to you. I couldn't stand his act. I turned to Bray. Fine, you don't have to quit, but we all know what your word is worth. So how about it? Run a 20 instead. Bray looked at me, horrified. 20. Was he trying to kill her? She had close to zero athletic ability. If you can't do it, then pack your things. I snorted and sat down. To be honest, whether Bree stayed or went didn't matter much to me. But if she didn't face any consequences, everyone would think I was an easy target. She had to pay. Fine. Bray snapped. Not just run, I said. While you're at it, you'll be shouting your apology that you slandered me, that I never cheated. So the whole school knows what you did. Isn't that a bit much? You're making her humiliate herself in front of the whole school. Compared to what she did to me, I think I'm being pretty merciful. After school, Bree went to run her 20, the price of keeping her spot at school. She had no other choice. I didn't go anywhere, either. I sat on the steps right there, watching every lap. I had no intention of letting her off the hook. Her stamina was nothing like Ella's. She ran slowly, and having to shout her apology every lap made it even harder. Soon enough, she was on the verge of collapse. Ran walked over to me. Jack, Bree knows she was wrong. Let it go this time. She's not like Ella. She doesn't have the stamina. A 20 could kill her. Oh, you're saying if your rumors had driven me to something worse, that would have been my problem. But you're fine, Ryan said. You're not the type to do things like that. I looked at Ryan. The afternoon light hit him from behind, leaving his face half in shadow, unreadable. That faint air of superiority. I remembered right before I died, Ryan had called me specifically to rub salt in the wound. Whether he was involved in what Ella had done, I still wasn't sure, but he knew. He knew everything. Together, they had driven me to my death, and now here he was, daring to stand here and tell me I was being too much. You've got some nerve. How long are you going to keep up that harmless good guy act? Do you really think I'm going to fall for it like everyone else? Hanging on your every word. If you have a problem, run for her. If not, then stop talking. Seeing Ryan get shot down, Ella chimed in. Jack, that's enough. Ryan was just trying to warn you. If something happens, it's on you. I looked up at her. What's this? Coming to your hero's rescue. Ryan glanced at Ella, saw how upset she looked, and brushed off whatever had been bothering him about her family circumstances. He turned to me. Jack, you hate me, and you're coming after my friends. Is it because of Ella? If you think I took her from you, fine, take her back. Ryan, Ella said sharply. Don't say that. I have no feelings for him at all. Ella rushed to reassure Ryan. The two of them, so devoted, so perfect for each other, and I looked like the bitter, scheming third wheel. I laughed. Keep her, Ella. I don't recycle trash. Before Ella could answer, I continued. As for me bullying Bray, the whole school knows she came after me first. What I'm doing now is practically generous. If she doesn't want to run, she can quit. I'm not stopping her. I used to care about being a good person, keeping a clean image, never stepping on anyone. And where did that get me? I became the one being stepped on. This time, I am living for myself. I don't care what anyone thinks. Ella glanced at me and gave up. She turned to Ryan. He's beyond saving. If anything happens to Bree, he'll regret it. Let's go. She took Ryan's arm and walked away. Bree's body gave out after just 10. She collapsed. Ella and Ryan called an ambulance and took her to the hospital. I followed. Ella looked at me with barely concealed satisfaction. Happy now? Absolutely. Why wouldn't I be? I took out my phone and called the hospital director. I requested the best doctor be assigned to her case and covered all the medical expenses myself. Ella and Ryan had been planning on using Bree's collapse against me. Now they had nothing to say. Ryan stayed in the room, watching Bree as she woke up. Are you okay? Bree opened her eyes. Bien. He gently patted her on the shoulder. How are you feeling? Everything hurts. Bree said, exaggerating. I was leaning against the wall, casually drinking a yogurt. The specialist just checked you out. You're completely fine. Your stamina is just terrible. The doctors recommend more exercise. Tomorrow at school, don't forget to finish the other 10. Bree's eyes went wide. She had just collapsed, and he was still thinking about that 10. Was he actually the devil? Are you trying to kill me? Relax. You're not going to die. I said. If you pass out again, the hospital's entire team of specialists will be right there for you. Bree's face was red with anger. I raised an eyebrow. My voice was perfectly calm. What's wrong? Thinking of backing out? You can always quit school instead. Don't be so unreasonable. I've heard your parents both work at Shunga Group, I said. Bree's eyes went wide. He knew about her family. You investigated me. So what? Bree clenched her fists. I'll finish the run tomorrow. Good. The medical expenses are covered. And just so you know, as long as that tank isn't finished, even if you die, I'll have the doctors bring you back. I walked out of the room. Ella watched me leave. That cold look on my face made her frown. Bree turned out to be fine. After an IV drip and some rest, Ryan and Ella took her home. I wasn't idle, either. Back home, I took pictures of the payment receipt and the medical report and posted both in the class group chat. I had seen enough setups in my life. I wasn't going to give anyone any ammunition to use against me. Only after doing all that did I finally lie down. The next day, Bree dutifully ran her remaining 10. After everything, she didn't dare act out in front of me like she used to. Whatever resentment she had, she kept to herself. No more sniping at me to my face. The other students also started to see me differently. With a newfound caution, Everyone had seen what had happened to the last person who had crossed me. And on top of that, he was rich. Cross him and he'll even pay your hospital bills. They had stopped calling me a loser. Stopped bringing up my grades. But behind my back, they were still whispering about me being capped by an older woman. Someone had even boasted it on the school forum, pictures and all, and no one knew who it was. By the time I saw it, the replies had already piled up. They wouldn't come at me directly anymore. The internet was their only cover, hiding behind a screen. No one knew who was who. Monday afternoon. I had just gotten out of school when I saw two beautiful girls standing at the gate. Their uniforms. Don Chuan. Sophia wore the same uniform, so I recognized it immediately. A guy nearby couldn't help himself. They're stunning. That's Lily. She's on Yongwon's tennis team. He used to only have eyes for Ella. Everyone else barely existed. I had heard Lily's name before, but I had no image of her in my head. Seeing her now, I could see she had a great figure. But in terms of beauty, she couldn't compare to Sophia. I really don't know what was wrong with me in my past life. Rejecting Sophia like that. Looking at Sophia now, I realized how truly stunning she was. Put her next to anyone, and she still outshined them. My driver was already waiting at the gate. I was heading that way when Lily stepped right into my path. You Jack, right? She looked at me with undisguised curiosity. I said flatly, who are you? I don't think we've met. Lily's lips curved into a smile. You're the high school student being kept by an older woman, aren't you? You've been all over the school forum lately. The news has spread to our school, too. Of course, people were also saying I wasn't someone to mess with. The story of how I handled Bree seemed to have been vividly retold. For someone to bring it up right to my face like this, I found it quite amusing. I wasn't angry. I asked calmly. Lily, right? Lily looked at me, surprised. You know who I am. She quickly recovered. I heard you used to provide for Ella. Is that true? You're not interested in me, are you? I'm not the type to live off someone. She clutched her chest dramatically as if my knowing her name was some kind of assault. I looked at her, truly amused. Is your family so poor you don't have a mirror? If you really can't afford one, I'll give you the money. Go take a good look. You think I'd be interested in you? I slung my bag over my shoulder and walked away. Lily stood there, her pride wounded. Excuse me. Who talks like that? I didn't even look back. I got in the car. Lily stood there, and slowly a smile spread across her face. Jav, is it hit? You have some nerve calling me ugly. I won't forget this. When I got home, Sophia was there. She had been away for days. Finally showing up. Snowball hadn't seen her for days, and was absolutely thrilled. All done with your things? They asked. Sophia stood up, and I got a good look at her. To be honest, she was too beautiful. I was thinking maybe you found tutoring me too much of a hassle, and decided to quit. I've been trying other tutors lately, but honestly, none of them explain things as well as you do. Not at all, Sophia said. Things have just been a little busy. Then you don't need to explain to me. I'm just glad you're here. If you've got things to take care of, go take care of them. In my past life, after everything I had put her through, she had still thought of me at the end, even arranging to have my body taken care of. After what I had done to her, a few busy days were nothing. Sophia gave a slight nod. Let's head to our studies, I said, and I really meant it. We went into the study together, a few days apart, and I had accumulated a whole list of questions for her while I was doing my homework. Sophia sat beside me, watching. She had seen what was circulating online. Of course, she had been a little worried, wondering if I was upset, but seeing me now, she could see I was fine. The words of concern she had prepared went unsaid. Sophia's phone vibrated. She flipped it over and glanced at it. A message from Lily. Sophia, you're definitely coming to the tennis match on Thursday, right? Sophia had already promised, but Lily was always worried she would change her mind. Sophia had a tendency to do things on a whim. Sophia typed back a single word. Yes. After our session, Sophia said, I'll be coming to your school this week. I looked up, surprised. There's a tennis match. It's being held at Mingus Court. Then I'll be there to cheer you on, said. Sophia gave a slight nod. She thought back to every time she had seen me before. I was always trailing behind Ella. Eyes for no one else. She had probably never crossed my mind, but now to hear me say, I'll come cheer for her. A faint smile ghosted across Sophia's lips. The match was on Thursday afternoon. Before it even started, the school was buzzing. Young Chuan's girls' tennis team is really strong. People were whispering, Li came to our school. She's so beautiful. Please, she can't compare to our school's beauty. Ella is the whole package. Looks and grades. Ella's grades were top tier. Her tennis game was strong, and she was easy on the ice. Naturally, she had no shortage of admirers. Ruyan had been in a foul mood lately. What I had said about Ella's father being a gambling addict kept bothering him. He had seen that kind of person before. I had my head in a book, paying them no mind. In the old days, if Ella had a match, I would have been the first to rally people to cheer for her. Looking back now, it seemed ridiculous. And with everyone talking about me, and an older woman, other people were busy rallying for Ella. No one was paying any attention to me. But someone did bring it up. I heard Sophia is also at Yongguan. Do you think she'll come? Sophia was the only person who consistently outscored Ella on exams. Her name had left a deep impression on everyone. Probably not. She rarely shows up at events like this. Getting to see her in person is a rare treat. Hearing them talk about Sophia, Ella's expression was grim. She shifted uncomfortably. Her gaze slowly drifted to me. She saw me engrossed in my book, and something about it made her uneasy. Is he really not going to come cheer for me? She turned to me. Is all this studying really going to get you anywhere? I looked up, a little surprised that she was talking to me. Of course it is. Not everyone is as naturally gifted as you. Some of us have to put in the time. Does it bother you that I'm making progress? Why would it bother me? A plus said. Well, I said lightly. I'm already rich and handsome. If my grades end up better than yours and Ryan's, what's left for you too? Ella let out a small laugh. Dak, sure, you've made progress, but you've only just broken into the top 200. The higher you go, the harder it gets. You'll probably slip right back down next time. You think I'm worried about you surpassing me? Him getting into the top 200 was a miracle as far as she was concerned. Surpassing her? No way. Sophia surpassed her. Fine. That was just natural talent. Ella had never been able to understand how Sophia's mind worked. But Jack, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't overcome years of accumulated advantage. Who knows? I said, no one can predict the future. I don't have time for this, Ella said, standing up. I need to go get ready for the match. She walked out. Ryan sat nearby and heard every word between Ella and me. His fingers clenched without him realizing it. I'm supposed to be a kept man, and he's still trying to get close to Ella. Doesn't that disgust him? But he put on a polite face and walked over. Jack, we're going to cheer for Ella. Want to join? Ever since I had cut off contact with Ella, the gifts she used to give, Ruyan had stopped, too. So, Ruyan thought it was better to keep me in their orbit. He couldn't let me cut them off completely. If I was still chasing Ella, I would keep spending on her. And the two of them wouldn't have to be so frugal. These days, Ella was working part-time, barely making enough to cover her own expenses. She couldn't even take him home every day like she used to. Compared to when I was supporting her, the difference was stark. Besides, Ella would never fall for a guy who was rumored to be sleeping with an older woman. Even if I was still into Ella, Ruyan had nothing to worry about. The moment Ruyan made the offer, I shut it down. Not interested. Ruyan looked at me. Why not? Ella really speaks well of you. You know, no matter what's happened, we were all friends once. There's no need to make things so tense. I glanced up at him. I thought back to my past life. How I had handed over the family business to Ella, all in the hope that she would agree to marry me. Back then, Ruyan was doing the same thing, praising Ella every day. So generous. Never seemed worried I would steal her from him. I used to think Ruyan was genuinely kind. Later, I understood it wasn't that he didn't care. He knew exactly where Ella's heart was. She would never fall for me. But being near me meant Ella could keep getting what she wanted, and so could he. Hearing Ruyan defend Ella now, I didn't believe a word of it. I have standards when it comes to who my friends are. Ruyan fell silent. The others who saw me ignore him jumped to his defense. Forget it, Ruyan. Why bother? If he doesn't want to come, let him be. They went to cheer for Ella. I finished my work and went to the game. Ella was already changed into her sportswear. Standing in front of Ruyan, her face was all sweetness and light, but out of her school uniform, her figure was something else. She had always been a flirty. Seeing her like this, Ruyan's cheeks turned red. The moment I walked in, Ella's eyes found me. Didn't you say you weren't coming? Ruyan followed her gaze and saw me. Shaq. I saw the two of them being all lovey-dovey, and didn't say a word. I went straight to the stands, looking for a good spot. After a bit of searching, I found a front row seat. deliberately a little ways away from Ruyan and the others. I had just sat down when instead of Sophia, I saw Lily, the girl from a few days ago. Lily walked straight over to me. Check, about what you said to me the other day. Don't you think you owe me an apology? I let out a short, cold laugh. Are you sure you weren't the one who started it? If you hadn't brought up the whole being kept thing, I wouldn't have said any of that. Lily looked at me, genuinely confused. How did I provoke you? Is it polite to say someone is being kept by an older woman? If it's not you, then who exactly am I supposed to be saying it to? Lily shrugged. Everyone's saying it. So, if everyone said you were into girls, would that make it true? Lily stood up straight. Who said that? She actually believed it. I couldn't help but laugh. Lily watched me curiously, refusing to let it go. The last time you asked about my name, were you thinking of providing for me? I was honestly speechless. You clearly still haven't looked in a mirror. Lily tried again. Between me and Ella, who do you think is prettier? Ella might be the beauty of Minka, but Lily was confident she was no less. I smiled. Are you into her? Lily quickly cut in before I could say more. I mean, do I have a chance with you? You were so into her before. Why not give me a try? She tossed her hair pointedly and winked at me. A guy nearby gasped. She's stunning. I had never witnessed a more shameless display of flirting in my life. I turned away. Just then, a cry went through the den. I looked towards the entrance. Sophia had walked in. The people who had been focused on Lily instantly shifted their gaze. All eyes in the room found Sophia. No one had expected her to actually show up. The moment Lily saw Sophia, she completely abandoned our conversation and ran over. Sophia. I saw Sophia and couldn't help but smile. Wait. Sophia saw me. Her expression was as calm as ever. Lily stood beside Sophia, followed her gaze, and saw me waiting with genuine enthusiasm. She smirked. So, he's not into me, because he's into Sophia. Too bad. Sophia had never been interested in any guys. She didn't even give them a second glance. He was in for a disappointment. Sophia and Lily went to warm up, but all eyes were still on Sophia. Ella didn't miss the look on my face. The moment Sophia walked in, I was practically a goner. Ella let out a dismissive laugh. Ruyan watched me. Is Jack really into Sophia? The truth was, the moment Sophia walked in, Ruyan felt it, too, that pull, but he knew for a fact that someone like Sophia was simply out of his league. Not only was she excellent in every way, but her family background was solid. And the rumor was she wasn't even interested in boys. Unlike with Ella, he wasn't going to chase someone completely out of reach. But apparently, I didn't have that kind of self-awareness. A guy who was rumored to be kept by an older woman and was reaching for the moon. Sophia's grades, family, and money were all superior to mine. If I was still chasing Ella, Ruyan could at least understand it. But going after Sophia, that he really couldn't get his head around. Ella didn't answer. I'm going to warm up. She had thought I came to watch her. Turns out I was here for Sophia. Ella was fuming inside. She used to think that if I stopped watching her, she would feel nothing but relief. I used to cling to her like she couldn't scrape me off. Now that I had let go, she found herself unexpectedly insecure. She had always seen Sophia as her biggest rival. During the time she lived at my house, she had noticed. My father had been planning on arranging a marriage for me, and the intended was Sophia. Back then, she told herself, so what if Sophia was superior to her in every way? The man Sophia was supposed to marry was her devoted loser. He didn't even see Sophia. Every time she thought about it, it made her happy. After suffering so much, it felt like the one victory she could salvage. But now I had left, and my attention had turned to Sophia. Ella couldn't hide her frustration. Bree was standing beside Ruyan. She watched as I sat in the stands. I had bought some water and shared it with the other guys around me. Some of them had been talking behind my back, but we weren't in the same class, so it was what it was. Now that they had actually spent time around me, they were starting to see I wasn't so bad. They took the water. Their expression softened. Bree leaned in towards Ren. Is he trying to win people over? Ren shrugged. Sophia's hair. He probably wants to show off. Bree looked at Ren, stunned. You mean he's actually trying to go after Sophia? Is he crazy? Sophia, his girlfriend, please. Who would want someone like him after all that? I have never seen someone so blatantly flaunt such a thing. Hey, Int. I just saw Lily talking to him. Does he just go for any girl who's halfway decent looking? Ruyan sighed. He has the means. He's not here to study. To be honest, he's kind of pathetic. If he had parents who kept him in check, things might have been different. Bree snorted. The Theze. You're just too nice. Always making excuses for everyone. Bree only dared to mock me behind my back now. Not a word to my face. The girls' tennis match began. I watched closely. The game was fierce from the start. Both Lily and Ella got yellow cards in the first few minutes, stunning the crowd. Under normal circumstances, matches didn't start this intense. Ella had come with one goal, Sofia. She was determined to outplay her to get me to look at her again. She didn't have to want me, but I wasn't allowed to stop wanting her. She wanted to prove she was the desirable one. But Lily had come out of nowhere, and had gone straight for her. For Sofia, the match was a breeze. She wasn't even playing at her real level. The team from Yangchuan was strong, but Sofia was in a different league, even compared to them. After a few solid shots, she started to hold back. I sat and quietly watched her. Her whole energy was completely different from everyone else's. Ella was fighting to win and not finding an opening. Sofia, meanwhile, looked like she was here for fun. During the halftime break, the players' rest area was right in front of where I was sitting. Sofia watched Lily. You're playing hard today. She had noticed Lily was targeting Ella. It wasn't like her. Some guy called me ugly, Lily said. I needed to put on a show. Make him understand what I'm capable of. Sofia took it in, quietly filing it away, and said nothing. Lily finished her water, and turned back. She saw me in the stands. She grinned and called out, so. Pretty cool, right? Your girl, Ella, got her ass handed to her by me. The moment the words left her mouth, Sofia glanced at her. Lily didn't know why, but suddenly the back of her neck felt cold. Compared to Lily's non-stop energy, I noticed Sofia was showing very little enthusiasm for me. Right now, for instance, Lily turned to look at me, but Sofia just sat there. She was always reserved. Maybe she just didn't like being the center of attention in these kinds of settings, but the more she held back, the more I found her interesting. I smiled and called out, Sofia, you were amazing out there. Lily heard me call Sofia, and snorted. She leaned in towards Sofia. My guy is deliberately trying to annoy me. We had a little fight the other day, and he's still mad. Sofia glanced at Lily. Is that so? She didn't turn to look at me, but looked closely. Her ears had gone noticeably red. In the second half, Sofia played with complete focus. In the first half, Ella and Lily had been locked in a fierce battle. But in the second half, with Sofia on the court, Ella couldn't return a single shot. The match ended in a landslide victory. Manhwa lost badly, and the one who took the biggest hit was Ella. For a long time, people had been talking about Sofia from Yangchuan and Ella from Manhwa. In the same breath, public opinion had drifted towards them being almost equals. Today's match settled it. In every way that mattered, Ella couldn't compete with Sofia. Every time Sofia scored a point, I lost it. I could barely stay in my seat. Before, I had never really paid attention to Sofia. I had no idea what she was really capable of. Looking back now, I really had been blind. Ran and Bree had rallied their people to cheer for Ella. Now they sat in silence. There was nothing left to say. My section was packed with Sofia's fans. Everyone around me was cheering. And me, I was the most excited of all. Eyes locked on Sofia. I was practically screaming under my breath. Brain muttered, does he remember what school he goes to? Good thing Sofia isn't giving him a second look, otherwise that would be disgusting. The words had barely left Bree's mouth when Sofia, just off the court, walked towards the stands and stopped right in front of me. As she got closer, the guys around me all reacted. I looked at her. You were incredible. Sofia said, water. Her voice was like a light breeze, soft and smooth. I had never imagined someone could be so excellent at everything and have a voice like that on top of it. The guy closest to her quickly offered a bottle, but Sofia didn't take it. She looked at me. I picked up a bottle and handed it to her. You really were amazing. My voice came out soft. Those simple words were enough to make the corners of Sofia's mouth cork up. Under my gaze, she tipped the bottle back and drank. They, who had been ready to swoop in and gloat, watched this unfold with wide eyes. What just happened? She had been working so hard all day to impress him. And Sofia just swooped in and stole the moment. More importantly, Sofia had never shown any interest in any guys. She always brought her own water to matches. She never interacted with the male students. She kept her distance from everyone at school and everywhere else. And yet, right now, did Sofia actually like him? The thought hit Lily like a shock. Sofia finished her water and said, I'm going to go change. We'll go home together after school. I nodded. Sure thing. Sofia turned and walked away. Lily stared, dumbfounded. Sophia, you know him. Sophia said calmly. I'm pursuing him. Everyone was saying I was being kept by an older woman, and Sophia just said she was pursuing me. The word pursue. Since when did Sophia need to pursue anyone? Normally, all she had to do was give a slight nod, and anyone would fall all over themselves to be with her. Noticing Lily staring, Sophia asked, "What? Is there a problem?" Lily didn't dare to have a problem. She just never imagined that I was the one Sophia had her eye on. She had been flirting with me all day. And it turned out she had been flirting with Sophia's person. Thinking back on all the things she had said in front of Sophia earlier, Lily wanted to slap herself. She quickly apologized. I swear I didn't know. If I had, there's no way I would have acted like that with him, not with your person. Sophia's expression was perfectly calm. It's fine. He wasn't interested in you, anyway. Lily really wanted to say, was that necessary? Seeing Sophia was completely serious, Lily asked, so, what exactly is the relationship between you two? Sophia answered. He's not in love with me yet. She was my tutor. Yes, but Sophia suspected I wasn't really in love with her. I used to be into Ella. Maybe Sophia was just someone I was using to annoy Ella, but if she could be useful to me in some way, she was okay with that, too. Being by my side was enough to make her happy. Lily took in what Sophia had said and glanced back at me in the stands. I was standing there, looking in her direction. All the cheering I had been doing. Lily thought I was just another simp for Sophia. Turns out Sophia was the one doing the chasing. The two at the center of it all were perfectly calm. Everyone else was going crazy over what they had just overheard. The group chat exploded. Is Sophia actually into Jack? Not long ago, I was Ella's loser. She didn't even see me. I ran errands for her like a servant. Day in and day out, and now the person who was superior to Ella in every way was attaching herself to me. Ella came out of the locker room, changed and her expression dark. She had lost the match. And the person who had beaten her hadn't just won. She had crushed her. Ruyan and Bai followed behind, wanting to say something comforting, but they couldn't find the words. They were just as dejected. A moment ago, they had been sure that someone like Sophia could never be interested in me. Then they saw her walk right over to me. Bai said, is Sophia blind? How could she be interested in him? Does she not know who Jack is? Ruyan's expression was like stone. He used to tell himself, no matter what I do, Ella will always choose him. But seeing Sophia connect with me today had pushed him to the edge. Why was it that someone like me, who was already rich, could now also have access to someone like Sophia? Maybe they just hadn't tried hard enough. If they had come to cheer for Sophia today, maybe things would have been different. I walked out of the gym. The guys who had been sitting with me earlier glanced over. Jack, you know Sophia? And nodded casually. Are you two dating? They had been close enough to see it. The way Sophia looked at me was unmistakable. They couldn't help but be curious. Middle, I said, we're just engaged. I was warm with Sophia, sure, but that was largely because of what I had been through before. This time, I honestly didn't know what she thought of me beyond the engagement. After what had happened with Ella, I didn't dare assume I wasn't just going to be someone's loser again. Seeing their curious faces, it added, our families know each other. That's all. They looked at me. So, your family is actually rich. We thought. I didn't shy away from it. That I was being kept by an older woman. A few of them looked guilty. That's what the post said. Someone who picked me up from school. I laughed. Think what you want. It doesn't bother me. It's not true. And to be honest, the whole thing is just funny. Like, I need someone to support me. I waved goodbye to the guys from the other classes and went back to my classroom. I walked in and everyone stared. I was used to it by now. I sat down quietly. The girl at the desk in front turned and looked straight at me, her tone dripping with sarcasm. We lost the match and you look perfectly happy about it. Cheat and Ella were on the same team. Basumel. You lost the match. I didn't. Why wouldn't I be happy to have Sophia's attention? You must feel so special, she said. I let out a small laugh. What's wrong? Upset she didn't pay attention to you. That shut her up. She turned back around, Ming. A moment later, Ella came back with Ruyan and Bai. Ella sat down in her seat. I glanced at her. I could feel it. Ella's anger was at a boiling point. She was always like this after losing to Sophia. I used to be on her side, sharing her frustration. Now I just found it funny. Ella's gaze landed on me. She saw me smiling and her eyes went colder. What are you looking at me for? I said. Your skills weren't good enough. That's not my fault. Ella looked back at me. She had lost. And instead of a word of comfort, I was sitting here, mocking her. It got to her. Every time she had lost to a Sophia before, I would buy her things, bring her gifts, coax her out of her bad mood, tell her she was better than Sophia in every way. Now I was the one making things worse. The bell rang. I quickly packed my things, stood up, and walked out. Seeing me leave, Ella stood up, too. She grabbed her things and followed. She moved fast. Ryan couldn't keep up. I had just gotten to the stairs when Ella was right behind me, grabbing my arm. I turned and looked at her. What are you doing, Ella? Ella stared at me, her eyes red. I paused. She could barely hold it together. Are you really going to be with Sophia? The question caught me off guard. She never cared about things like this. What was with her? The way she was looking at me was like I was the one who had let her down. I reached to pull her hand off my wrist, but she was holding on tight. I couldn't help but laugh. Wasn't I the one you found suffocating? You told me every day I chased you was like a nightmare for you. Those were her exact words. Right before I died, I didn't know until she said it. All the love I had poured into her, it disgusted her. It turned out giving someone everything you had didn't make it precious. To them, it was just a burden. Ella froze at my words. She insisted she had never said anything like that. She had no memory of it at all. Of course, I knew the Ella standing in front of me had never said those words, but that didn't mean she had never thought them. I let out a cold laugh. But you've always hated me, haven't you? If you didn't hate me, why were you always with Ryan? Why did you give him the things that were mine? I treated you so well, and yet you treated me like a servant. As I said the words, I managed to squeeze out a few tears. The truth was, I felt nothing for Ella anymore. After everything I had been through, all that was left in me was hate. I had lived through this once. There was no way I could love her again. But the Jack of my past life had spent his entire life chasing her love, desperately hoping she would give him a little more. And in the end, he was left with nothing but a miserable fate. Every time I thought back, a deep sadness welled up inside me. The sheer pain of it all rose up before I could stop it. If I hadn't been given this second chance, the version of me she had abandoned in that run-down apartment, how pathetic he must have been. The thought alone made my eyes sting. Ella stared at my red-rimmed eyes. She had only come to find me, because she couldn't stand seeing me so close to Sophia. But this time, she saw something in my eyes she had never seen before. Real pain. She had never liked me. She liked Ryan. So why did my pain make her feel like she had committed an unforgivable sin? Had she really hurt me that deeply? I don't know, Ella said softly. I just didn't want to talk about feelings. Even now, she was making excuses. I raised my hand and wiped away my tears. I know you just don't want to have anything to do with me. You and Ryan are the perfect match, aren't you? So whether I am with Sophia or Lily, it's none of your business, is it? She wanted to say more. My reaction had clearly stirred a guilt she hadn't expected. While we were still facing off, Ryan and Bray appeared. Ryan stood at the top of the stairs, looking down at me and Ella. He looked at us, clearly surprised. From where he was standing, we were standing very close, and Ella still had a hand on me. The moment Ryan appeared, something clicked in Ella, and she quickly let go. I watched her instinctive reaction, and smiled bitterly. Of course, seeing me with Sophia must have rattled her. After all, her cash cow had just walked away. But Ryan would always be the most important person to her, and I was just looking forward to seeing things get messy between them. I lowered my head and said, so, please, don't come looking for me alone. I don't want Ryan to get the wrong idea. Without waiting for a reply, I turned and walked down the stairs. The moment I got to the bottom of the stairs, those teary, sparkling eyes were completely wiped clean. I had absolutely no reason to cry over a sneak like her. That little performance upstairs, that was just me having a little fun. She had played me so thoroughly in my past life. This time, I wasn't letting her off the hook. When she was at her lowest, I would always leave her a glimmer of hope. The illusion that he still cared. Watching me leave, Ryan slowly walked down the stairs. He turned to Ella. What exactly happened between you two? I thought I saw him crying a moment ago. I'm going home, Ella said flatly. She was in no mood for this, and she didn't know how to explain any of it to Ryan. My behavior just now had made one thing clear. I still had feelings for her. It was her coldness that had driven me towards Sophia. Maybe she should have never let me find out about her, and ran. I had just stepped out of the school when I saw Sophia standing quietly at the gate, waiting for me. She had changed out of her sportswear and was now in her school uniform. Lily was standing beside her. The two of them were waiting patiently. The moment I appeared, Lily saw me first. She nudged Sophia. Your man's here. At the sound of her voice, Sophia turned to look in my direction. The school grounds were crowded, and all eyes were on Sophia. Seeing her on the court was one thing. Seeing her here like this was something else entirely. In the same uniform, Lily somehow looked a little plain. But on Sophia, the simple, clean uniform looked effortlessly stunning. When she saw me, she came over and took my bag without a word. From the way she acted, it was clear she genuinely cared for me. I wasn't the one chasing her. It was mutual. Sophia didn't seem to care what anyone thought. Her gaze landed on me. Let's go eat first. I nodded. My mood was completely unaffected by Ella. She didn't deserve that kind of power over me. Lily beamed at me. Hey you. I glanced at her with a cold expression. Sensing my displeasure, Lily quickly backtracked. Okay. I was blind before. I didn't mean to upset you. Please don't be mad at me. I'm really sorry. She kept using that nickname, but I didn't bother to argue. I simply turned to Sophia and asked, Are you two friends? A hint of clear indifference. In my voice, Sophia glanced at Lily and said, No. Hey, come on. Lily protested immediately. It's all my fault. I'm apologizing to you. You were the first person to say to my face that I was being kept by an older woman. I remember it very clearly. I was wrong, Lily said in a small voice. It was all those people online, spreading nonsense. I'll find out who started it, and set the record straight. I'll make it right for you. I swear. The car from Sophia's family arrived. Sophia completely ignored Lily. She opened the car door, and looked at me. Hidden. Lily stood by the side of the road, watching us both get in. She waved politely. I won't keep you. I'll be going now. See you next time. May you both be happy for a lifetime, with many children. Sophia pulled the window up with a sigh. Just ignore her. I didn't expect you to know her. Sophia reached over and fastened my seatbelt for me. We just play tennis together sometimes. The mention of tennis made me think of her match. The way she moved on the court. I couldn't help myself. Sophia, you were amazing out there. You scored so many points on your own. You should have seen the look on Ella's face. Sophia took the compliment with quiet composure. She just wasn't good enough. If it wasn't for Ella, she wouldn't have gone to that match. Hearing Sophia talk so bluntly about Ella, I found it quite amusing. I didn't think she was capable of talking about someone like that. Though to be fair, everything she said was true. You really are something else, I said. Honestly, I can't find a single flaw in you. You're beautiful. Your grades are amazing. And now this. All the guys sitting near me today were completely smitten. I don't know any of them. Sophia said simply. Of course you don't. I'm just saying. You're remarkable. But showing up at my school like this, being so close to me, aren't you worried about what people might say behind your back? Sophia looked at me. What would they say? There are still people online saying I'm being kept by an older woman. People at school are saying it, too. My reputation isn't exactly clean. I don't care about any of that, Sophia said. I smiled slightly. From her expression, it was clear she already knew about the rumors. She hadn't mentioned it once in the last few days. Could it be that she came today partly to stick up for me? The driver took us to the restaurant. We had just sat down when my phone buzzed with a message. I opened it. It was from Ella. 2 words. I'm sorry. Jack stared at the screen for a moment. She had actually apologized, so she really didn't want him getting close to Sophia. Maybe it was just human nature. No matter how much she despised him. The moment he stopped chasing her and turned to someone else, she panicked. What do you want to eat? Sophia asked. Anything, you go first. Sophia ordered a few dishes, then remembered Jack liked spicy food, and ordered a few more for him. They had been having dinner together most evenings lately. Sophia knew him very well. Uncle Owen still isn't back lately. He's really busy, I said with a sigh. The topic weighed on Jack. In his past life, his father had died in a car accident right before his college entrance exams. These days, he was focused on improving his grades, and the time he got to spend with his father was minimal. His father had always been like that. Even when Jack wanted more time with him, there was never enough. But Jack had a plan. When the time came, he would find a way to keep his father from leaving on that day. That would be enough to prevent the accident. Sophia watched Jack chew quietly, his eyes on the table, clearly lost in thought. She had noticed him drifting off like this from time to time. Her instincts told her there was something he was hiding. But if he didn't want to share, she wasn't going to push. Ella got home to find her father, Stead, was back, the man who had spent the last while gambling. He was waiting in her room. When he saw her walk in, his expression was cold. How are things with Jack lately? There's nothing. Ella had spent the entire ride home mulling over her feelings for Jack. Now confronted by her father, her expression hardened. There's nothing. I told you to go win him over. You haven't done it yet. At the sight of him, Ella's voice went cold. Why should I win anyone over? He already fired me. Am I supposed to go crawling back to him? Do I have no dignity? Deep down, seeing Jack with Sophia had really gotten to her. There was a part of her that wanted to pull him back. But looking at her father now, she was grateful that she and Jack were no longer together. She had barely finished her sentence when Steph lunged forward and slapped her across the face. You stupid girl. If you don't win him back, where are we going to get money now? How much money do you have on you? Give it to me. He had lost it all at the tables again. It was written all over him. Ella stared at him. You've been gambling again. Stay out of my business. Don't be like your mother. It's disgusting. Keep this up, and I'll beat you. When you were with Jack, money was never a problem. I could play as much as I wanted, and it was fine. But you had to go and get involved with that poor loser. And now look, you've let a golden goose slip through your fingers. Win him back, or I'm not letting this go. Steph stormed out. Once he was gone, Ella checked the hiding spot under her bed. The money she had stashed there was gone. He had found it. The apartment was small. Growing up with just her father, she had never had any real privacy. There were only so many places to hide things. When she was with Jack, she used to quietly save some of the money he gave her. College was coming up. Expenses were everywhere. Her father would be useless. She could only rely on herself, but even so, he had found it. When Ella went out, he was already gone. She stared at the empty doorway, then kicked the wall hard. After dinner, Jack and Sophia stepped out of the restaurant to find it was raining. The driver brought Jack home and held an umbrella for him. Jack got out of the car. Sophia took the umbrella and walked him to the door. All right, it's raining harder. You should go, Jack told her. Sophia looked at him gently. Good night. Her voice was soft. Jack looked back at her. Those bright eyes on him. He felt his face heat up. He nodded. You get some rest, too. See you tomorrow. Sophia nodded, took the umbrella back, and got into the car. Jack watched her go, and realized being with her really did make him happy. The car rolled away. Jack was just about to go inside when a familiar voice called his name. Jack. He turned. Ella stepped out of the shadows. She had no umbrella. He had no idea how long she had been standing there. She was completely so. The sight of her caught me by surprise. What are you doing here? First the apology message, now showing up in person. It looked like my little performance this afternoon had hit harder than I thought. Ella looked at me. I had been smiling just seconds ago. But the moment I saw her, my expression went cold. Oh, you're that happy with Sophia? Yeah, I am. Jack said, she's good to me. Unlike some people. Ella had always kept a cold face with Jack. Seeing her like this, almost gentle, was a rare sight. Even knowing she was, through and through, an actress, even knowing all of this was a performance. Seeing a sight of her he had never seen before still stirred something strangely satisfying in him. What do you want? Ella, Jack asked. A faint smile ghosted across Ella's lips. So, you've really made up your mind. You're done with me. What is it? Out of money again. Jack said. The only time you look at me like that is when you need cash. You're overthinking it, Ella said, looking him straight in the eye. I just wanted to see you. She turned to leave. I'm going home. She turned and started to walk, and for a few moments, Jack watched her collapse to the ground. Jack called for Anti-Tran. She rushed over and stared at the figure on the ground, clearly shocked. Isn't that Miss Ella? What happened to her? Not sure. She collapsed. Anti-Tran held the umbrella over Ella and put a hand to her forehead. She's burning up. She must have a fever. What should we do? Are we going to take care of her? Bring her in, Jack said. Call a doctor. Should I take her to her old room? Anti-Tran asked hesitantly. Isn't there a room Steve used to stay in? Put her there for now. The room Jack had given her was arranged to his own high standards. To let her stay there now would be a waste. Given the current situation, the staff quarters were more than enough for her. Anti-Tran took Ella to the staff room. Then she called the doctor. The doctor confirmed it was just a fever. Nothing serious. They left her to rest. Jack stood by the window, looking out into the yard. The rain tonight was relentless. He had already showered, but sleep wouldn't come. A message from Sophia lit up his phone. I'm home. Jack replied. Just finished my shower. Then get some rest. Good. Good night. Jack put his phone down and fell asleep. The next morning, Jack went downstairs to find Auntie Tran had breakfast ready. He sat down and asked, "How's Ella?" She woke up around dawn and left immediately. Jack looked up, surprised. "Really? I had assumed she was still here. I told her to wait until you were up, but she wouldn't listen. That girl, I can never figure out what's going on in her head. To be honest, neither can you," Jack said. "She's impossible to predict." Auntie Tran looked at Jack warmly. "If you ask me, Miss Sophia is much better for you, young master. Keep your distance from Ella from now on." She was worried he might go back to being a foolish simp again. Jack laughed. "Relax. The only reason I'm bothered last night was because she collapsed on my doorstep. I didn't want that bad omen on my conscience." Auntie Tran smiled in relief. Good. Ever since Jack had stopped being a foolish simp, she hadn't been half as worried. The spoiled young master had really grown up. When Jack got to school, Ella had already gone home, changed, and come back. When she saw Jack walk in, she lowered her head and said nothing. She was back to her usual cold self. Jack thought she had some nerve. He had practically saved her life last night, and she couldn't even manage a thank you. He took his seat and ignored her right back. Did she really think he was the same lapdog he used to be? When class ended, Ruyan came over. He and Ella went to a student council meeting together. Ruyan looked at Ella as they walked. "Are you feeling better today?" Ella glanced at him. "I'm fine. Losing the match yesterday wasn't really the issue, but seeing Ella with Jack yesterday had bothered Ruyan." Ella said nothing. After Steph had taken her money yesterday, her mood had been dark ever since. Ruyan saw she wasn't talking and took a breath. "But if you want to be with Jack, I support you. You really do." "You're overthinking it," Ella said, looking straight at Ruyan. "I have no feelings for Jack at all. I'm not getting back with him. I just can't stand seeing him with Sophia like everything's fine. I don't want them to have it easy." Ruyan nodded. "Good. No matter what, I'm always on your side." Ella gave a slight nod. Then she thought of her father using her to swindle money from Jack's family. There was no way she was going to be a part of that. Steph had no limits. She had always known that. She refused to let him turn her into his tool. That's why she had left Jack's house the moment she was lucid this morning. She wanted nothing more to do with him. For the next few days, Ella spent all her time with Ruyan. She completely stopped hovering around Jack. Jack paid them no mind. He was focused on his classes every day. In his free time, he browsed real estate listings and bought tape. The prices were still low now. Later, they would skyrocket. One afternoon, Jack left school a little later than usual. He had stayed back to finish some homework. When he walked out, the school gates were almost empty. Young Master Jack. The moment he stepped out, someone called him. He looked up and saw Steph. "Steph," Jack said, "here to see Ella." Steph looked at me. Just checking on the girl. That spoiled brat. I gave her a piece of my mind lately. It's her fault. She had to go and chase that Ruyan kid. Doesn't know what's good for her. Don't be so hard on her," Steph said. "I am not mad," Jack replied. Jack looked at Steph's shabby appearance and frowned slightly. Just then, Ella and Ruyan came out of the school. Seeing Jack and Steph together, Ella couldn't help herself. "What are you two doing here?" The last time Steph had taken her money, he had disappeared for days. Now that he was back, it meant he was out of cash. Steph shot her a disdainful look. "I'm talking to my son-in-law. It's none of your business." Get lost. Ella turned her sharp gaze on Jack. "And you? Why are you still standing there? What? You really want to be his son-in-law? Look in a mirror first. Get out of here." She unleashed on Jack without holding back. Jack had known she was never warm to him, but even so, the force of it caught him by surprise. He stared at her. This woman, every time, it took him a few seconds to recover. "You think too highly of yourself. Who would want anything to do with you?" He shot back and walked away. Steph called after him. "Don't worry, son-in-law. In a few days, I'll have Ella come find you. I'll teach this girl a lesson when we get home." He tried to follow Jack, but Ella stepped out in front of him and blocked his way. Steph saw. He stared at her. "What do you think you're doing? You don't make an effort yourself, and now you're stopping me, do? We just had him here, and you chased him away. Can't you do anything right?" Jack was already in the car. He watched through the window as Ella blocked Steph, her face tense. "Don't come to my school again. I'll come whenever I want." Steph snapped. "Where's the money? Don't you know how to make money?" "I don't have any," Ella said. You took it all last time. That was my college fund. So, what have you done about it? The question set Steph off. When Ella was with Jack, he had no complaints. He didn't care that she spent every day with Ryan, because Jack didn't seem to mind, either. But now things were different. Jack had cut Ella off because of Ryan. Steph couldn't just let it slide anymore. This is your problem to solve, Ella said. Go home. I have to go to my shift. A shift. A shift. Steph raised his hand. That's all you know. How much does that miserable job pay you a month? You should go back to winning over Jack. Look what you just did. You chased him away. So what if I don't like him? That's my right. Steph raised his hand, then remembered they were in front of a school. We'll deal with this at home. Money now. If you don't give it to me, I'll go find Jack myself. Go make some money. Do you hear me? You're just like your mother. Heartless. Ella's face was like stone. Whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. She got on the bus at the stop and didn't wait for Ryan. Steph watched her go. Jiang. He looked down at the few hundred in his hand. His daughter was getting harder and harder to control. Ruyan had come out with Ella, but seeing the scene unfold, he had held back. He watched from a distance, not daring to interfere. It was only after they were both gone that he came out. He had only known Steph as a driver. He had no idea he was Ella's father. And for him to be here, demanding money when Ella had nothing, it was a lot to take in. He figured interfering would only make things messy and more embarrassing. So he had stayed back and waited. Jack sat in the car for a long time before he finally told the driver to go. He thought of how Ella had just yelled at him, and almost laughed. I don't even want her. And yet, she was worried I might actually marry her just because her father said a few nice things. Jack got home. Auntie Tran beamed at him. Welcome back, young master. Jack gave a slight nod. Who upset you? Auntie Tran asked. She noticed his mood immediately. Nothing. Just a bad omen. When Sophia comes, have her come up to the study. Sophia had been coming later than usual lately. Jack wasn't sure what was keeping her. He had just gone upstairs when Sophia arrived. The young master seems a little off today. Sophia frowned. What happened? Auntie Tran shook her head. He didn't say, but it must have to do with Ella. She's the only one who gets him this quiet. Sophia went upstairs and opened the study door. She saw Jack sitting at the computer watching this year's most popular holiday comedy sketch. He was watching intently and laughing genuinely. Sophia walked over and took the empty seat beside him. Jack glanced at her. You're here. Sophia looked into his eyes and held back. You've been busy lately, too. She used to come early every day, always getting out of school before Jack. But lately, it seemed like something was taking up all her time. At the mention of it, Sophia nodded. But it won't affect our sessions. I'll always make time to come, and your grades have been improving so much lately. Jack looked at her. You're planning on studying in the capital after graduation, aren't you? The question caught Sophia by surprise. Her family had actually been pushing her to go for a long time, but she had stayed. She looked at him. How did you know? Jack smiled slightly. Because I've lived through it once. But all of that had happened after the college entrance exams. Things they hadn't told her back then. He had never considered leaving. Ella had chosen a local university, so he had stayed, too. Actually, Ella's grades in that life had been high enough to get into the top 2, but she had chosen to stay in Youngville. Jack had never understood why. Maybe she couldn't bear to leave this place. Maybe she couldn't bear to leave Ryan. He had never hidden anything from her, but she had never told him anything. And then his father had died around that time, which made everything worse. I'm going, Sophia said, but probably after the exams are over. Do you think my grades could get me into a school in the capital? Sophia looked at me and nodded. Yes, if you really want to, you can go there. Jack closed the video on the computer and stretched. Then that's the goal. Sophia blinked, a little surprised. You want to go to the capital? I just want to give it my all, Jack said. I have been given a second chance. Might as well aim high. If you don't even dare to dream about it, no amount of luck in the world is going to drop it in your lap. Sophia watched him, the familiar confidence back in his eyes. Feeling better now. Ella upset me, Jack admitted, and briefly told her what had happened at the school gate. Isn't it ridiculous? I never said anything about marrying her. She acted like I was going to drag her to the altar, and then she yelled at me like that. Unbelievable. She likes Ryan. Fine. No one is desperate for her. It's my own fault. I was blind before. I made her think she was that important. Sophia looked at him and said softly, "Our Jack is the best. Too good for someone like her." Jack heard the words and looked over at her, only to see her looking straight at him with quiet sincerity. His face heated up before he could stop it. Oh, man. He had thought his heart had died somewhere in his past life. But when Sophia talked to him like this, something incredibly embarrassing stirred in him. It took him a long moment to compose himself. "Do you talk to everyone like that?" Sophia said. "I don't say things like that casually. So that means I'm different to you." Sophia stiffened slightly at that. She looked away and put on a very serious face. "I promised Uncle Owen I would take good care of you." The moment she mentioned his father, Jack deflated a little. She really was too dutiful for her own good. "If your family told you to be with someone else in the future, would you agree just like that?" Sophia turned to look at Jack. Her expression was unreadable. Seeing the question had hit somewhere deep, Jack waved his hand. "Forget it. I was just kidding. Don't be so serious. You're making me feel like I'm bullying you." Jack had a feeling that Sophia might not actually have feelings for him. "Sophia, is there anyone you like?" Sophia blinked, thrown by the question. "Why are you asking?" "Just curious," Jack said. "Your arrangement with my father is your business, but you must have your own feelings, too. If there's someone you really like, don't force yourself to stay." Sophia looked at Jack for a long time before she spoke. "We've been spending every day together lately. Are you getting tired of me?" There was a flicker of hurt in her eyes. Jack stood up. "I am going home." "That's not what it meant. I'm not trying to push you away." "Hey, Sophia, come on. Don't be like that." But she was already gone. Auntie Tran saw her come downstairs. "Miss Sophia, I am leaving," Sophia said, her expression tense. "Yes, take care," Auntie Tran replied. Jack came downstairs to find Sophia was already gone. Auntie Tran looked at him. "What happened?" "She's mad again," Jack muttered. "I was just talking. How can she take everything so personally? She's so sensitive." Just as Jack was about to go after her, Auntie Tran stopped him. "The people from the real estate company said they'll be here soon." Jack remembered he was in the middle of some real estate deals. He held himself back and stayed to get the work done first. When Ella got home from her shift, Steph was still there. Any other time, he would have been gone by now, but he had come back empty-handed, ransacked the apartment for cash, and found nothing and was now sitting there, smoking. When he saw Ella walk in, Steph said, "Working all night. And what did you bring back?" "A few measly dollars. If you gave me 1,000 a month, that would be impressive." Still not worth a fraction of what Jack could give. "However much I make, I earn it myself," Ella said. "And what's the point of effort? You couldn't earn in a lifetime what Jack used to give you. Don't be so smug just because you work hard. This world runs on money and connections, nothing else. Remember when you lived at Jack's? The life we had then. Look at us now." "I'm not doing it," Ella said. "And aren't you afraid of being branded a command and getting hauled away one day? You're going to ruin your own life. Just don't drag me down with you." Ella turned to face him. "You talk about money and family status. Then why haven't you, as a father, done anything to build it up?" Steph stammered, surprised. Then he recovered. "I had bad luck." "All right. And your mother, that useless woman who was sick all the time. That's what dragged me down. That's why I've been pushing you towards Jack. What does Ryan have to offer? You'll marry him and spend your whole life being frugal. Jack's family is rich, and that kid is crazy about you. A little sweetness from you, and he'll be putty in your hand." "I don't like him," Ella said. "And I'm not going to be with someone I don't like." "Like him? What's the value of liking someone? I'm not asking you to fall in love. I'm asking you to take his money. What's the problem?" "I won't do it." When she thought of Jack, she knew they were never meant to be in the same world. She simply refused to go down that path with him. She couldn't deny that life had been simpler when he was around. But seeing her father gloating like this made her sick. He had driven her mother away. He had mistreated her whole life. And now he wanted to use her. All he did was gamble. A man like this, he didn't deserve anything. Steph snorted. "If I hadn't given you that face of yours, you think anyone would look at you? And sure, your grades are good, but so were mine back in the day. Owen was nothing special. His exam scores back then weren't even as good as mine. He only got where he is because his family had money." Ella's expression went cold as stone. She went straight to her room and closed the door. Steph stood outside, yelling for a long time. Ella rolled up some paper and stuck it in her ears. The next morning at school, Jack saw Ella walking. There was a clear bruise on her face. Jack stared. What had happened to her? Had someone hit her? He thought back to yesterday's scene with Steve. Had he actually hit her when she got home? Ella took her seat. Everyone who noticed fell silent. Ruyan saw her, too. The sight of the injury clearly shocked him. Ella sat down without a word. Jack watched her. This stubborn as a mule, always down on her luck girl. He couldn't help himself. Did your father hit you? Ella turned to look at Jack, her face cold. What? You want to help me again? Fine. Give me a few million. He's got a mountain of gambling debt. A few million from you, and I'll date you. How about it? As she spoke, her eyes were full of mockery, as if she was taunting my foolishness. It was the kind of look that made your blood boil. I just asked a simple question, Jack said. And you jumped straight to millions, and dating me on top of it. What kind of logic is that? Then stay out of my business. Ella looked away, her head down. The truth was, it hadn't been her father who hit her. The debt collectors had come to the house early this morning looking for Steph, and Ella had gotten caught in the middle. They had warned her to settle the money. When she lived at Jack's, nothing like this could ever happen to her. Her father had a decent salary at the time, and Jack's money just kept coming. Even when Steph took her money, he never took all of it. She deliberately spent lavishly. She spent money like water just because she didn't want to give it all to her father. Compared to those days, the life she was living now was a disaster. But she refused to get close to Jack again. If she did what Steph wanted, played Jack, bilked him for cash, she was afraid she would become just like her father. Jack looked at Ella with a warm expression. Actually, I do care about you. The word care caught Ella by surprise. She looked at him. Jack's smile curved. I care about how you're doing. The moment I hear things are going badly for you, I feel completely at peace. That warm, sincere expression, saying the most unbelievably nasty things. The next time your father attacks you, Jack added, let me know. I'd love to be there to cheer him on. Ella snatched up her textbook, her face murderous. Pushed to her limit, she finally exploded. You don't really think being with Sophia is going to make you happy, do you? She's in a completely different league than you. For someone like her to get close to someone like you, she must have an agenda. Jack's jaw tightened. What happens between me and Sophia is none of your business. Jack glanced at Ruyan, who was sitting there, intently writing something. Normally, he would have rushed over to check on Ella by now. But today, he wasn't even glancing her way. He was just focused on his studies. Ella said. Right. Jack said, and when your father showed up yesterday, he was right there and stayed away. Ella, tell me you're not going to get dumped by me, and then by him, too. Ruyan was always sharp. He never let himself get dragged into anything that could hurt him. Ella might have everything, but Ruyan must have had serious doubts about her gambling addict father. In his past life, the reason their love story worked was because Jack's family had been quietly shouldering the burden for them both. Back then, Ella had access to unlimited funds to manage her father. Now that Jack had cut ties, the cracks in Ella's life were showing. In that other life, something like this would never have happened to Ella. Jack would have taken care of it before it could. Now Jack's words left Ella with nowhere comfortable to look. Just as Jack predicted, Ruyan didn't come to find her after class. He seemed busy. Bree came over and glanced at Ella. Hey, what happened to your face? Did you get in a fight? She was a model student. Something like this seemed out of character. Ella just said, it's nothing. Bree glanced at Jack, then back at Ella. Should we report it to someone? Do you need help? Jack watched Bree fuss over Ella and wondered out loud. What is Ruyan so busy with? Bree glanced back at Ruyan and said to me. Ruyan is working on a speech the teacher assigned. Why? I said flatly. So busy. Meanwhile, Alec is sitting here with an injury, and he can't even look over. Bree got defensive. That's between them. They know what they're doing. What do you mean? Ruyan cares about Ella more than anyone. He's the most devoted to her. They're even planning on applying to the same university. It's not like you could do that. No matter how much money your family has, you can't buy your way into college entrance exams. As Bryce spoke, Ruyan sat nearby, listening, desperately wishing he could shut her up. He had been trying so hard to stay under the radar and listen to Bray blab and draw all the attention back to him. I turned to Ella. What university are you applying to? In my past life, both Ella and Ruyan had gone to Youngville University. But Jack had always been curious. Why had Ella settled for that when she could have gotten into the top two back then? He assumed it was because of Ruyan. Ella looked at him. What do you want to know for? Just curious, Jack said with a grin. I was thinking if I knew where you two were going, maybe I'd apply there, too. It would be fun to all be at the same school, wouldn't it? And I'd get to see firsthand if you two actually last. Are you serious? Bree chimed in. Your grades are nothing like theirs. You really think you can keep up? Sure, you've improved, but you're not even in the top 10 of our class. You think you can get into the same school as them? Ella seemed to share that sentiment. She looked at him almost drily. We're aiming for the top 2. Come if you can. Ella really wanted to get into the top 2. Going to the capital meant getting away from Steve, ending his harassment, and maybe finding her mother. So, Youngville University is off the table, Jack said, genuinely surprised. Why would I settle for Youngville? Ella said, that might be your limit. It's not mine. All right, then, Jack said with a smile. Top 2 it is for me, too. Bri found it amusing, but she held back from saying more. She was worried she might go too far and actually piss Jack off. She went back to sit beside Ryan. Jack is so delusional, she whispered. He said he wants to go to the top 2. He doesn't actually think his grades are that good, does he? Ryan looked up at Jack. He had been hoping Jack would go back to his feelings for Ella, but Sophia's presence was making that less and less likely. His gaze lingered on Jack. He turned to Bray. Tell me, do you think Jack still has feelings for Ella? If he did, that would be ideal. If Jack still liked Ella, at least Steve would stop showing up at school making a scene, and Ella would have money again. Brie heard him and narrowed her eyes. If he even thinks of going back to Ella, he'll tear him apart. Ryan glanced at Brie. Having a friend who completely missed the point every single time was really tiring. That afternoon, Ryan and Ella went to their meeting. When they were alone, Ryan turned to her. That injury, what happened? Did your father do that? No, Ella said. Some people came looking for my father. There was a confrontation. Money. Ryan had seen enough yesterday to put it all together. Ella nodded. Yes. Ryan looked at her and took a breath, steeling himself to say what had been on his mind. Ella, this can't go on like this. Have you thought about asking Jack for help? What kind of help? Ella looked at him, confused. You used to tutor him, didn't you? Maybe you could go back to that. We weren't very nice to him before, I admit, but he's still a rich young master. We should be a little warmer to him. He probably wouldn't mind having an extra tutor. Oh, Ella said firmly. I don't want that. She had been fired by Jack. She wasn't going to go begging. She might be poor, but she still had her pride. What's wrong with it? Ryan said, you're just tutoring him for money. You'll make more than that calf job, and you'll have a way to deal with your father's situation. Something about being pushed towards Jack by Ryan bothered Ella. He'd really be okay with me tutoring him. Ryan smiled. Why would I be upset? You have no feelings for him. And as for Jack, getting to spend money on you is probably the highlight of his day. Everyone at school knows he's close with Sophia now, Ella said. If we go back to him now, what does that look like? I'm not going to do things I don't want to do just for money. Ryan countered. Sophia is going to find out about the rumors sooner or later. When she does, she's not going to want anything to do with him. You're just approaching him as a friend. It's perfectly normal. And honestly, you don't want to see him crash and burn with Sophia. Ella was silent. She agreed on this point. Sophia was impressive in every way. But this was an arranged relationship. Sophia probably didn't actually care about Jack. Seeing her silence, Ryan carefully pushed. If you don't know how to bring it up, I'll go talk to Jack myself. I'll ask him to take you back as a tutor. Trust me, I can do it. And Ella, no matter what, you have to get through high school. With your father's situation, I am not even sure you'll be able to graduate. Ella looked at Ryan, but she still felt uneasy about it. She felt something almost like anger rising. You think I can't survive without Jack? That's not what I meant, Ryan said. Jack is only acting like this to get a reaction out of me, but I'm not going to stoop for him. And with my father's condition, if I go to Jack and drag him into it, what kind of person does that make me? Without waiting for a reply, Ella walked straight into the meeting room. After gym class that afternoon, Jack separated from the group and took a break under a tree. Ryan came over. Why are you all alone? He asked in a well-meaning tone. Jack looked up. One look, and he could tell what Ryan wanted. What? Did you think I had other friends here? Ever since the falling out with Ryan and Ella, no one else had been willing to get close to him. He didn't have their charisma. They were both popular, well-liked wherever they went. But Jack didn't mind. If he actually cared about being this isolated, he would have gone crazy a long time ago. Ryan sat beside Jack and looked at the obviously expensive sportswear. He thought Jack really did have money. Hey, Jack, can I talk to you for a second? Go ahead, Jack said. Ruyan took a breath. Would you be willing to have Ella back as your tutor? Jack quietly scooted a little further away. Wait. Ella's been having a hard time. You know what's going on with her father. I know, Jack said. What does that have to do with me? Just help her out, Ruyan said, with generous sincerity. If things keep going like this, it's only going to get worse for her. It's not like you're short on cash. I promise she'll take the tutoring seriously. I'll even help teach you, too. Your grades will go up, and then we can all apply to the same university together. Whether Jack had the talent to actually get in was another matter. But once Ella's exams were over, she would be free, and none of this would be his problem anymore. Jack looked at Ruyan in silence. Ruyan shifted uncomfortably. Why are you looking at me like that? Do you think I'm an idiot? Jack said, you and Ella are perfectly happy together, and now you're here asking me to take her on as a tutor. You think I'm just going to pay her salary and end up funding you both again like the fool I used to be? Ryan's lips were a thin line, and he looked into Jack's eyes. It's not even that much for you. You spent hundreds of thousands on her birthday once. It's just pocket change. I would rather donate every penny to building schools in the poorest villages than give Ella a single cent. I'm done spending money on her. I said what he said. Jack watched Ruyan after he said it. He was surprised Ruyan had actually come to ask him this. It must have taken a lot of resolve. Did he really feel no shame? Ruyan said, if the reason you hate her so much is because of me and Ella. And that's where today's story ends. What's next for Jack's revenge and his relationship with Sophia? Will Ella truly change her ways, or is this all just another act? Find out in the next video on Manhwa Cipher. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to support us. See you next time.